Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Women's Maximum Fitness Podcast. It is my absolute pleasure to be able to present this interview for you all. It lasted nearly 3 hours, and we spoke for another hour almost afterwards as well. And I never want to discourage a guest from speaking, especially if they're comfortable sharing. And it was really awesome. So this is my interview with Miss Olympia in 1996, 97, 98, and 99, Kim Chizevsky-Nicholls. And it was incredible. She has so much insight, especially into parenting, which is obviously very interesting to me. And we're like two moms just talking. So I hope that you enjoy. She is an absolute doll. She's very smart. And this was absolutely my pleasure. It took almost a year for me to be able to set this up. So you get 2.5 hours of raw footage between me and Kim Nichols. So hope you enjoy. One of the things that we're going to talk about when you got married to Chad. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, actually. I'm getting over a nasty little upper respiratory infection that I get this time of year with allergies, and so it's not COVID, thank God, but
Yeah,
that it's just been dragging on, and it's that time of year. So
yeah,
I'm feeling good. Everything's going good right now.
awesome. Yeah, it's kind of been going around. I know I got sick the last couple of days, and so did Anna too. So her allergies have been really bad. What state are you guys in again?
We're in Missouri, that we lovingly call Missouri. So yeah. But we live in Southwest. It's Springfield, Missouri, and it's nice down here, and it's nice to raise the kids and everything. But when we first moved down here, it was great to just come here and hide away and everything. You know, we traveled so much and everything. But now that the kids are getting older, we're looking at, doing different things, traveling around and stuff again with the kids, and doing our thing with the, just trying to promote the family and the fitness side, and how, great this lifestyle can actually really be if you do it, the right way and everything.
Yeah, I want to start with your beginning, but I definitely want to get into that. I do follow both your sons. I follow your whole family on Instagram, and they are incredible athletes, which I know I've heard Chad say on a couple of podcasts that they get that all from you. He's taking no credit for your amazing genetics. And I think you guys have taught them really that, combined with the lifestyle. Your kids are incredible athletes. You must be so proud.
Thanks. We're really proud of them. We're hard on them, strict, but I feel that's the way that you need to be with kids today. With everything, with all the social media, the phones, the laptops, every single thing that can take away from getting up and moving and getting out there and staying healthy and everything. And we instilled in them, we started the boys in the gym, both of them at 8 years old. So it's not like, people see them and like, oh my God, how did they look like that overnight? Well, they've been in the gym with us since 8, both of them. And so Dominic took a little longer, my oldest, he just turned 18. And he took a little longer to fill out and everything, because for a long time he was into running, he was into cross country. So he was running 10 plus miles a day. And, everyone couldn't believe how much he filled out. Well, you take 10 miles a day out of the equation and throw weights and lots of food in, and there you go. So, and Morgan is just, they're both incredible, but they're both different at the same time, where, Morgan, he is very, very just focused and driven, and gets down on himself very easily if things don't go the way he wants them to, like me. But he's so focused, so motivated. I'm so proud of him. He's a freshman starting varsity on football this year. He just turned 15, And it's so cute. He had his homecoming dance last night, first homecoming dance. So it's really neat. But both the kids are very focused. Morgan's getting ready to, he got an invitation the other day to be in the National Honor Society already as a freshman. So he's very good. Dominic's very smart too, but Dominic is more social, we'll say, than Morgan. And so although Dominic was a very, very good student, he could have been better if he hadn't like wanted to go out and hang out and stuff so much. But both, when it comes to something that they're good at, something they really enjoy, their sports, they put everything into it because they know that's what we expect of them. And that's what we have instilled in them. And so, it's starting to show through in their performances and how they do and what they're doing. And actually Dominic's being very smart this year. He wasn't exactly sure what he wanted to do with his life. Well, who at 18 really does want to know what they wanted to do with their life? I thought I did, but then plans changed and here I am now. So he's taking at least this semester off, possibly the year, just to, see what he likes and see where he thinks he fits in the whole scheme of what he wants to do with life. So he's looking at, he's interested in being like either a fireman or an EMT, something like that. So I think that's pretty cool. And we're going to see, because he's got multiple offers. He had offers in football, but he's very great in discus. And that's where he's looking to go to a school there. He's still getting offers for that. So he just is practicing this year, because basically his junior year, with the schools being, shut down and activities being shut down, he missed a whole year of, eligibility basically in track. So he's just going to take this year to just build his physique more. He's interested in competing down the road, but he's also practicing his discus and hopefully go to college for that next year in the fall.
Yeah, I understand that. Where, it used to be, we are, how old are you? I know our birthdays are within a day of each other. How old are you now?
I'm 53.
53. Okay. I'm 45, and I was going to group us together a little bit, but I do know that it was kind of like when you graduated from high school, there was just a lot of emphasis on going to college. And I mean, I've had the same conversation with Anna. Like, she had thought she wanted to, and she's still on the fence about it, about going to state for veterinary medicine. But I was like, you really want to think about how much money you want to pour into your education and what you actually want to do and how much debt you want to carry for how long for, the job that you're doing. Because if you want to do something with animals, you could just have animals and, have a job in the medical field that you could do a 2-year program or something like that and not have to, it's like, you got to think about what your end goal really is. Because I don't know that veterinary medicine is really something that people get into because they love animals, because you're dealing with a lot of sick animals. You're putting down a lot of animals. It's like, so it's just a matter of really investigating things. And like I said, where I thought, it was always a lot of pressure to just go to college, whether you knew what you wanted to do or not. I think kids today are thinking, I have so many more options to get a good job without pouring a ton of money and time into an education that I may not use. So I think that's really smart.
It is. And Morgan, he's got his path set. He's had his path set for several years already. Dom's more the free spirit. He's just kind of flying by the seat of his pants right now, but he's doing great. But Morgan, he's already decided he's just going to get a business degree, because he said you can do everything with that. And which is exactly right. Being, having our own business, Chad and I, it's great to do that. I did, it was kind of like a little semester course. It was like an incubator course that taught you how to run your business and do your business and from A to Z, everything you needed to know. And I was like, if you do a business degree, you learn all the ins and outs of how to run the business, how to do the accounting, how to keep your books, how to, market yourself, your business. So I was like, and him wanting to be, the end goal for him is to be in the NFL, hopefully.
Sure.
One of these one of these days, yes. And then, and then he can just market himself, and do his own business. And I said it would be really smart to do that, because then you don't have to rely on others to handle your money, handle this, handle that. So
Yeah, which could run into a bunch of potential problems as well. So for
yes.
people who don't know, what is it Raising Mayhem? What is Morgan's?
Yes, it's Raising Mayhem.
Yeah. I know I show Anna videos all the time. He's I mean, I don't know a ton about football, but I know he's like super fast. But the lifting videos are crazy to me. She couldn't believe, because he's a year younger than Anna. And he's like, I don't know, what is he, like 200 pounds or something? Like, he's huge.
He's just about 5'11" right now.
Okay.
And he's around 205 right now.
Crazy.
So,
And benching and squatting, just massive amounts of weight. It's unbelievable. For when he started when he was like 13, and he's got like 3 plates on the bench press or something like that. It's nuts.
it's crazy. And he has the mindset that he just won't stop, which is good and a bad thing, because you worry about injury and stuff, but at the same time, he's not gonna, if something gets hard, he's gonna fight through it. So I think that's why he's progressed the way he has, strength wise and everything. And I think, well, when he did his first bench press, or what should I say, powerlifting meet, he set several
Yeah.
state, national, he's ranked worldly now and stuff. So it's really cool what he's been able to do. But my father, oh, and just to say something here, Chad gives me all the credit, but he's pretty genetic himself, and he's very, very strong. He's, built great and everything. And it's just like, he can't give me all the credit. So he's got a little bit to do with that too. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And for people who don't know, so Chad Nichols, your husband, well, I mean, he coaches Big Rammy. He coached Ronnie Coleman, right?
Yes.
I have to think of some of the other greats that he's been, and then a whole bunch in between as well. And he competed also. I don't think like never to the pro level. Did he get?
No. It was he did on the state level and qualified nationally and everything, but he liked the whole coaching aspect better. He hates dieting. He likes food way too much. And he told me, and this, I think this is the dynamic that has helped us in our relationship the whole time. We aren't trying to compete against each other. He does his thing, which is totally separate from my thing. And so we've never had to compete against each other for any, attention on that level or anything. It's like, he's great at what he does, I'm great at what I do, and it works together. So he did compete probably, I'm thinking about 4 or 5 times, and he did very well. He let me see, I think he got second in his first show, and but just like I did. And then I think he like won the rest of his classes, and possibly an overall. He was very good, but at that time, he was very tall. He's 6'3", and it was more like a in between back then of what I would say. It was closer to a classic look, which I really liked back then and stuff. And so kind of, and it was neat to see him get up on stage and everything, but he hated the diet, always did. So, and he knew I could do it when I really set my mind to it and everything. So, and he's like, obviously genetically, you're a little more blessed than me. So let's see what we can do with you. And he was always so smart with the nutrition thing. The thing that sets Chad apart from everybody else is that although he's book smart and he's constantly researching and studying and, learning daily, he's always, researching and looking at things. He is able to take things from a book or take things that he learns, and he knows how to apply them to every single situation where people are like, okay, the book says do this, so I have to do this for everyone. So it's a one size fits all. And it's not like that with Chad. He's like, okay, how can I take this and adapt it so that it will work for this person? Or the book says this, or this, study says this, but how can I, do it so it could work for all my athletes that are all different. So he looks at everything as individual, because everybody knows that no two people are the same. Even identical twins have certain, differences and stuff. So that's I think his real calling card is that he is truly 100% personalized.
Yeah, I think that's the sign of a good coach too, because I think that's why you get so many people who are coaches now. They think they get, I mean, going back to this whole education thing we had talked about, they think they have some book smarts and you don't have, I mean, that's what the experience tells you. You learn, you get all these tools, and then you are able to figure out in which scenario to apply which tools, pertaining to each person. And there's a few people that do that, but it seems like there's a lot of people who just think, oh, this is the answer because I read it. You know what I mean?
Right,
Instead
right.
of, seeing the application. So it's really cool. And obviously he's worked with, from you to Big Grammy. I mean, that's a huge difference just to show his coaching qualifications. So
The cool thing about him too is that, or one of the many cool things I should say, but is that a lot of people don't know I think he's got close to 13 total Olympia winners, because he's not only done, bodybuilding. He Mary Yaki, fitness Olympia champion. He got her ready. Mary Lado, when she was in figure, he got her ready and won. I mean, there's a lot of, he doesn't a lot of people don't realize that he works with every type of athlete, and he's able to get any type of athlete in shape the way they want to be. So, and that's another thing that's great about him, is that he is into the athlete's goals and the way they want to do it. It's not so much, this is my thinking, this is what you have to do. If you don't want to do it my way, go. It's like he works with the athlete. He cares truly about their goals, short-term and long-term, the big picture down the road. A lot of people get upset because they want everything right now, and it's like, can you turn me pro next year? And he's like, let's be realistic, take your time and see how it goes. Don't just throw muscle on, or don't just throw weight on. Just, take your time, let your natural physique go to its potential, and see where you go. Everyone's in such a rush nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because they see it, you know what I mean? I think we didn't see so much of people coming up so quickly with all this stuff. And so you see a couple genetic freaks and you think, you think that it can happen really quickly. And for most people, it doesn't. And like you said, doing it the right way takes a lot of time. But I was thinking that his style then obviously translates to working with your boys as well, because he's able to, it's almost like, being able to problem solve, evaluate a whole scenario and say, what does this person need, according to their timeline to, get to their goals. And like you said, looking at things long-term and everything. So
Exactly.
Yeah, so cool. So, hey, I'm really curious, like what kind of athletics you were involved in when you were younger, and then what got you into bodybuilding. So can you tell us a little bit about, let's get focused on you.
Okay. I know I talk about Chad all the time. Okay, we'll focus on me.
Your family is amazing. And I just want to interject that we've been trying to set up this podcast for close to a year now. It's been, and I know you're so busy because you are 24/7 involved with your family and your businesses. And it's super admirable that you just, I think that drive, that's what made you Miss Olympia. That's just the type of person that you are. And it has carried over into the rest of your life. And that's one of the things I love about people who get into bodybuilding. You can't do this without having the characteristics of bodybuilding better you in the whole rest of your life. So
yes,
it's very apparent with you as well. So anyways, go ahead. Tell us about your beginnings.
my father, he was the athlete of the family. And he was actually, he was a two-time All-American in college in football, running back. And he got drafted to go to the Rams back in the very early 50s, but also got drafted to go to Korea at the same time. And back then, you didn't have the option to say, no, sorry, I'm not going to serve my country. I'm going to, go play football. You don't do that. So he went to Korea, and by the time he got back, he missed his window. But his football IQ and everything was so good that he was able to become a great coach. And so all my life, the discipline, the strict mentality, everything that we have with our boys came from, partially from my father, because he brought me up strict and everything and expected a lot from me. Chad and I are the same way with the boys. We expect a lot of them. And so ever since I was able to stand, he had me starting to run and he put me in gymnastics classes and in dance classes, anything I wanted to do, that I ran all the time. So track was one of my big sports, but I loved dance and ballet. And back then I was too tall and too muscular and not, the frail, thin build for a ballerina. So I decided to do cheerleading, and I loved cheerleading. But I ran track. I did cheerleading, basketball, volleyball, softball. I just pretty much did everything. I just loved athletics, any kind of sport possible. And so that I think was the base. I just loved fitness from the beginning, being fit from the beginning. And so when I was in high school, I continued my cheerleading. I liked that better than anything. So I continued cheerleading and track and really enjoyed that. Then when I got out of high school, I started teaching aerobics, which I absolutely adored. I just loved aerobics. It was so much fun. And back then, that was the 80s, dating myself, yay. So I'm getting ready for the Crystal Light. Back then it was the Crystal Light Aerobics Championships. And I was like, this is cool. I'm going to go do this. And at the same time, Chad and I actually didn't meet at a gym, and we didn't, meet through bodybuilding at all. We ran in the same circle of friends and actually met through friends. And we were friends for about a year. And then the following year, I had come home on break for school one time, and he had asked me out. And at first I was like, well, I didn't really want to go out with him because we liked each other as friends, and I thought he was really cool. And so I was like, I want to stay friends, and I don't think we should go out because, he was in his little wild period at that time. And I was like, nah, I don't know. And so I finally went out with him, and that was like about 32 and a half years ago, and we're still together.
That's so awesome.
So it wasn't bodybuilding that got us together, but after we started dating, he coaxed me into doing a show because I was already in shape from teaching aerobics and my sports background and everything. And I ate chocolate cake and pizza the night before the show and got second. So he wanted me to do the show because it was going to be his first show, and he was nervous to go alone. And he's like, if I get you a bikini, will you do it? And I said, sure, why not? And so I went out there and had a great time. And that's how I got into it. I just sort of fell into it.
So you just went, like you didn't prep at all. You just went, like you just
basically
went.
Yeah. Like about 2 weeks out of the show, he's like, do you want to do this show? And I said, sure.
That's amazing. That was amazing. So what year was that your first show was your first show?
That was 1989.
Okay. So I was going to say, I had to laugh when you said that you were doing the aerobics, because that was probably some of the first fitness stuff that I did, was like the Jane Fonda workouts.
Yes. I had all the tapes. Yes. I thought she was just incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. And they were really fun. I would rent them. You don't have to rent them, but I would get them from the library. And then I'd get like 3 of them for a week. And then I'd go get 3. She had like, I don't even know, dozens of workout videos that you just.
And there was another woman that I just loved, because she did like it was Joni Greggins. Do you remember that name?
Oh,
She's an 80s lady too, but she had like the abs and buns of steel and all that kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah, because it was then Tammy Lee took over the Buns of Steel. That's
Yes.
the one yes, I had the same ones. Yeah.
So yeah, all of that fun stuff. But see, when I was in high school, I was doing that on my spare time, learning how to do aerobics and all this stuff because I really enjoyed it and just staying fit. So it wasn't like I would come home from practice and just be done for the night. I would come home from practice and still practice more on my skills, my gymnastics, my dance, my cheerleading, and then I would practice aerobics and stuff too because I knew I always wanted to do something in fitness. That is not at all what I went to college for.
What did you
So
what did
I
you go
was going to
college
be a court stenographer.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. So, and
what
actually,
made you want to do that?
well, I was really, really good in shorthand and can type really, really fast. And I was always great in that. And so you have to type very fast to be able to do the court stenography. So I was like, I think this would be really fun because I'm good at this. And it was fun until I got to the point where they're like talking about the responsibilities of the court reporter. Not that I'm lazy, but it was a lot of responsibility. All because they're in they have the little machine, the little
Yeah.
stenography machine. Okay, so there's these giant thick papers. It's kind of like receipt paper for a cash
Yeah.
register.
Yeah.
Mhm. Some of those, it depends on the size of the case. You could have 10 things of those. You could have 50 things of those. What you have to do if the case is ever appealed or the judge wants to go back and read certain things, you as the court stenographer have to store those for at least 10 years. So
Wow.
all of your things yourself.
Yeah.
So if you would have a fire, if someone would steal those, if you can be held in contempt of court.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow,
Oh,
that's a lot to take in. So and that's a lot of responsibility. And I
yeah.
was like, I don't think that's going to be for me. But
Oh, that's like so much anxiety. You'd have to, yeah, you're like protecting. Yeah, no, that would,
yeah, so I was like, yeah, I don't think I want to do that.
oh my
So, but
God.
I did work as a paralegal in a law firm while I was well, Chad and I, it was very quick. We started dating, and a month after we started dating, we moved in together, and that's been it. So when we first started dating, I was working like a paralegal in a law firm, and that was fun. And during lunches, I could meet Chad. The gym that we went to was right down the road from my law firm. So I got to meet him at lunch, when we worked out together and everything. So it worked out really well. And he was actually, at the time, he was studying when we first got together to be on the police department. So it was a fun time. We were training and he was on that side of the law and I did the other side of the law, and it was fun.
You guys are like, yeah, it's like some duo. That's pretty awesome.
But everything, the cool thing, one of the cool things is everything we've done together and we've done ourselves. We didn't get help from anyone. We didn't, we were just two kids, that were in love and having a great time and stuff. And we thought that, we didn't have two pennies to rub together, but we thought we were, the richest people in the world. It was awesome. So still is, but
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, and you guys still now are just, I mean, he just has you on a pedestal and and vice versa. Obviously, you think the world of him, but you can
definitely.
see that even through your social media. I think it's really awesome. So,
Well, we aren't the gooey, sappy, which we don't like anyway. I think too much of that on, especially on social media, I don't like. That's our private thing.
that you guys are very respectful of each other. That's what I mean. I mean,
Yes.
he will repost your pictures and stuff. Be like, check out my wife. She
Yeah.
looks, like it's awesome. It's awesome. And I know from from our conversations too, that I know your heart is so big. You are such a nurturer. And I think, it's just the way that your family is set up is exactly perfect for you with your husband and your two boys. Like, so cool.
it's weird. We're kind of like our own little cult, you know. We're our own little gang here, you know. It's the four of us. We're the four musketeers. Is basically that's all we have right now. Is, you know, is the four of us and stuff. So, you know, we are very close, and you know, I like it. I like it like that. It's
Yeah.
good. The boys are close with us. They can tell us anything, talk to us about anything. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Chad's my best friend, you know, and it's like, you know, because people are like, you don't have a lot of, you know, friends that you run around with. And I was like, but I have my built-in best friend at home. I don't need all of that, you know.
Yeah. And your focus is on parenting. And I love that so much, how you guys both have, you have your separate identities and everything, and you had your, like you said, your run with bodybuilding in that sport, and you still do it and it's your lifestyle now, but it's not competing, so that you can focus on your boys. And you know, I mean, I can understand that entirely, because you know, my focus is entirely on raising Anna at this point. That's just I mean, parenting is amazing, you know, that it's just
It
incredible
is.
what you can, when you put the effort. And this again is what I get from bodybuilding, you know, when you put that effort into every aspect of your life, it just, things flourish. They just go.
They do. And it's not easy. It's not easy to, especially raising two teenage boys that are both bigger than me now. And so when I try to discipline them, you know, it's like, Mom, yeah, go away, you know. But then Chad gets on them, so it's good. But no, actually they're good to me, you know. They're sweet to me, you know. We're good to them, so they're good to us and stuff. But we are strict, you know. And but you have to be nowadays, and you have to be careful nowadays. And I think um I just say that we were blessed late, because if we had had the children, you know, earlier, I know that we wouldn't have had, we would have been traveling. I know that we weren't patient and you know,
Yeah. You
like
how
we are now. We are more, we're more low key now, not as, oh
Yeah.
my God, I can't believe you did this, or you know, whatever. Not to say that the kids haven't ever gotten in trouble before, but
Oh,
or
totally.
you
I
know, it's
I've
growing
had
up. But at the same time, you know, now that I had Dominic at 35 and Morgan at 38. And so, but now I'm mellow and, well, more mellow, I should say. And Chad is definitely a lot more calm than when he was younger and stuff. So it worked out perfectly. We feel old half the time, but but the other half of the time it worked out perfectly, because it is just great the way, you know, we have the patience, we have, you know, we try to understand, you know, why the kids do what they do sometimes and stuff. And both the boys are really, really, they're good kids. And it's nice to go somewhere and hear, you know, oh, I know your son, he's an awesome kid. You know, you don't want to go somewhere and say, oh, your kid's the little turd that did this or this, you know.
Right. Yeah, I know. There's been a couple of times that I've commented on Morgan's post. He's like, "Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am." Like, it's
Well,
just very respectful.
well, we teach them to be respectful, you know, because we see so many kids nowadays that are disrespectful. You know, I was always taught, well, I grew up in a house, my father was Russian. I grew up in a house that was children speak only when they are spoken to. I
Yeah.
was very quiet because I was always scared to death that I was going to say the wrong thing or I wasn't spoken to, so I shouldn't speak. And he was very, very old world strict. But at the same time, he was the most loving and caring man. If I ever got in trouble or got a spanking, he would immediately, as soon as, you know, the punishment was done, put me on his lap, hug me, and tell me, do you know why you got in trouble?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know why I spanked you? You know, so it's not just like, you know, fly off the handle, you know, do that. And then it's like, what I do? You know, he always explains. So, you know, we weren't really into the spanking, because at this point in life, you know, you take a phone away from a kid and that's like spanking them. You know, that's like death right there. You take their phone away. Oh my God, my life is over. You know,
Totally.
so
Yeah. It's so,
you do that and then they learn. So little different tactic, but they still learn. It's like, do you know why we took your phone away? Do you know why we did this? So we've always, you know, if they're punished for something, always tell them why if they don't know why, most of the time they know. They know that if they don't know why, then we're like, this is why, and this is what can happen from the action. And we always try to tell them, there's a consequence for everything you do, no matter what it is, whether it's good or bad, there's a consequence for every action you have. So we've tried to instill that into them, not to scare them to death from not doing anything and not enjoying life, but, just when you're, as a teenager, when you're in the moment and you're like, this is what I'm going to do this. And it's like, you don't think of, okay, this is the domino effect that could, ensue afterwards. So
well, and kids today too have such this mindset of like, well, if I make a mistake, like I deserve to have it erased or something. Like they don't think about that they have to face the consequences of their actions. So yeah, I mean, teaching them that there is, this prevention or whatever, I think is really, really important. I was going to say that I'm really strict with Anna too. And, we had an argument last night, and then I was talking to her about it this morning, and I said, I hate to discipline you. I don't, and I don't normally have to. It's upsetting to me because, like you said, they are good kids. And when you really have to crack down on something, it's frustrating. But I know for her, one of the biggest motivators is that when I'm disappointed in her, that's enough for her to not repeat a behavior. She just the fact that my mom is disappointed in me is almost punishment enough for her to be upset.
That's exactly how I felt with my father when I was growing up. He had these gorgeous, like, they just crystal blue piercing eyes. But when you disappointed him, or I would almost rather get spanked than to get yelled at by him or to disappoint him, because the eyes would like shoot right into your soul. And you're like, oh, that just made me feel more awful than anything in the entire world, and I was like, can we just get a spanking? I'd rather do that than get, have the steel pierced eyes, burning through my soul here. But, it worked. So.
Yeah. So, and like it goes back to, kind of what we were talking about with coaching as well. You have to figure out what is the best way to raise your child as the individual as well. And, like I said, the things that worked for you is different than how you're treating Morgan is different than, so how I'm treating Anna. It's just, you have to evaluate the person and figure out what's going to be the best way to bring them up and be a productive human being,
Exactly. Now, do you have a hard time? I don't really have a hard time with it, but it is difficult sometimes, because you want to be their friend, because you want them to feel that they can come to you and talk to you and confide in you. But at the same time, you don't want it to be to the point that, they don't think of you as the mother anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I don't think we've really gotten to that point too much, because I know people have said that, like, she always looks at me because people will go, oh, you two are like best friends. And she looks at me like, no, like we're definitely there's still like that level of respect is still there. And there's still things that there has been things that I've had to find out that she hasn't told me, but from those things we learn. And I tell her too, I don't want to have to find out that you did something that I wouldn't be proud of from somebody else.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to, this isn't about me shaming you. This is about correcting behavior and saying, how can we handle this differently? And so, I mean, for the most part, she tells me about things, and I'll say, hey, that was, funny. Cause she'll be sarcastic about stuff with her friends. And I'm like, you have to make sure that you're not hurting somebody's feelings, because not everybody is, like understands that type of sense of humor or whatever, stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
How old is she now?
She turned 16 last Saturday.
Did she really? Oh, wow. Yeah. So are you letting her get her license soon, or does she have it?
Yeah. So she has her permit, and she has the class next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday night. And then I think it's like 2 weeks. It's sometime in October that we set up the driving test. So I'm honestly most concerned about, I want her to be driving on her own enough before the snow hits, because I feel like that's going to be a rude awakening. Like, she's driven in some of the snow, but last year I like on the mornings when we were getting ready for school and it was slippery, I was like, no, you're not driving in this. Like, I wouldn't, it wouldn't let her. So that's like what's freaking me out the most, because she is a good driver and she's confident. And I think sometimes they're overly confident about, about slippery roads. Like, it's just like, it doesn't matter if you have 4-wheel drive or whatever, the first time you lose control of the car a little bit, like I don't know how you're going to handle that. So
where do you live?
We're in Michigan.
Oh, so you guys get tons of snow.
Yes.
We'll either get hit with like a huge like blizzard for like 2 days and then it's gone. Because usually there's been days down here, it's been 70 degrees at Christmas. So it just depends on, what's rolling up through the south and from the Gulf area up this way. And it's really crazy. But it's very icy down here in the winters. We get lots of ice storms. So that's the only thing that scares me with the boys and stuff, because I don't even like driving in that stuff.
No, I hate it. And like, our drive to her school is very short, but the roads are all, I was like, I said, I have to show you the route to get to school where it's flattest, because the quickest route that we normally take is like, there's a hill that I got stuck going up, and I was like, you don't even attempt to go that way or going down it, because you'll fishtail and go sideways. It's like, I don't even like driving in the wintertime. It's probably the time where I go to the gym the least, because I just don't want to leave and drive. It's like not worth, because I like get so anxious about it. And it's not even that I feel like I am a bad driver. It's everybody else.
I worry about everybody else. Yeah.
They're so fast. Everybody drives basically too fast for conditions or too close. And we've been hit so many times, because I've had like 3 of my cars totaled because people,
oh my God.
Yeah. So it's like, it's a lot of anxiety with driving and stuff. So, I mean, thankfully, because of COVID, I've gotten a lot of gym equipment at home. Where
we set up a whole gym in our garage as well during all of that and stuff. But we have a giant Jeep. So I just like jump in there and let Chad drive me to the gym.
Yeah, we have 2 CRVs now. So the one we had through the winter last year, and it was amazing. And, I always tell Anna too, if you can grip the snow on the side of the road versus be driving on the actual road with the ice, like at least half the car, like that's better too. So, but we'll see how the new one handles in the snow. But yeah, so I think like we at least have better vehicles for it. Because I haven't had 4-wheel drive in a long time. So I was pretty, maybe I'll be more brave now at this point.
Well, I'm way more brave when I drive the Jeep in the winter and stuff. I have got a BMW, and that thing, that isn't worth a crap in the rain even. So it's a beautiful car, but not good in weather at all. So we're looking at, I mean, I never ever in my life thought I would be a truck chick, but I'm liking trucks a lot more now.
I always wanted, I would like a Toyota Tacoma, like one of the little trucks. I feel like that would be really fun to be driving around.
Actually, what I wanted to get was a Raptor. And now, but I thought the truck for me was too big personally. So the F-150, but now they've got the cute little Ranger, and they're making a Ranger Raptor. So I'm like, that's what I want. I think that would be so cute. So either that or like a 19, I think is it a 67? Or I think Bronco, an old Bronco. I think those are so cool, and redo it.
Whenever
everyone's like, you want a Bronco? I was like, yeah, I want a Bronco. Those are cool.
You say that, it reminds me of the OJ Simpson case. That's whenever
Oh, I know. Not that Bronco. No.
just don't have
The
it
old
right.
Bronco. Yeah.
It's really funny. So well, let's get back to your competing a little bit. We didn't even
I know this is fun. We're just talking here.
I know it's good. I feel like, I know you're so busy. I feel like we should do a mom chat, because I'm always interested in how, you know, people who are in the fitness industry then become parents and how they're parenting. And I love hearing how, because it just, there's a whole lot of similarities. Like you had said, you know, about being more strict. And I know I am too, because I am a single mom. So it's like, I'm probably harder on my daughter than, you know, if I had, not that she doesn't have two parents, because her dad is, we get along great and he's very involved, but, you know, just in our
Good though, because it doesn't always work out that way. So
no, we have been, I would say we've been very blessed, but both of us, at this point are much more, I think with age as well, we're just level-headed and
Mhm.
realize that raising her is about her. It's not about, you know, it's not about whether we like each other or not, which we do, so it's fine. Well, we didn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, but I think age, like people, especially younger people, tend to kind of like, um, because information is so available now, they think they know everything, and it's like experience is still the best teacher. Like you can't put a price on the time that you have put into life and years to learn about stuff, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And just raising the kids has been such an experience because Morgan was so much different than Dom. You know, it was almost to the point where you're like, well, you make all the mistakes with the first one, and so you don't do it the second one. And it's not really mistakes, it's just trial by error, learning how to be a parent. I just remember still coming home from the hospital with him, and Chad's mom was here because she lived here. Actually, we moved down here when his parents moved down here after they retired. So we followed him down here. But she came over to the house and was helping me get everything ready because it was my first day home from the hospital. And I just broke down. I was like, I can barely take care of myself and Chad. How am I supposed to take care of a little baby that I've created? I was like, oh my God. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was scared to death. And it was so weird because I babysat when I was 13 years old and I could whip a diaper on like no problem. But my own, it took me 20 minutes in the hospital the first time to put the diaper on because I was so scared I was going to hurt him. And I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. How am I going to do this? But it works.
I don't think there's nothing that anybody can say or do to prepare you for having a child. Like you just, you hear all the things. This is going to hurt. This is really hard. Do this, do that. And then you just like, it's like you go blank before a test almost. You're just
Mhm.
like, yeah. But like things just, it's almost like instinct kind of kicks in with some of that stuff too. You don't even realize, like, you know, if baby's crying, you kind of hum and you bounce them and you like, you just, it just kind of kicks in. At least I think it did for me. And then it's just been amazing. It's an amazing journey. I never even thought I wanted to have kids until I was told that I probably wouldn't be able to have them. And so I was, you know, how when somebody tells you you can't, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, oh,
No, yeah,
hell
I'll show
no.
you. I'll show you. Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's like, well, because we started, Chad and I, just competing. And it was like, if we have kids, we have them. If we don't, we have each other and we have our fur babies because we love animals and stuff. And so I was like, no big deal. But then when I got pregnant with Dominic at 34, I was like, I didn't know I was pregnant, actually. I didn't find out I was pregnant with him till 19 weeks, 6 days. Yeah. Yeah. So, so I didn't show at all. The only way that we figured, I took a test as soon as I missed, and
Okay.
it's negative. And so I was like, okay, but I was getting ready for photo shoots at the time. I had trimmed down from bodybuilding, and regardless of what everybody, certain people have said in the industry, that they pushed me out of female bodybuilding, I wanted babies.
Okay.
that's why I was 32 at my last Miss Olympia. And
Okay.
so I was like, it's time to have babies, or we're not gonna, you know, I don't want to miss my window on that if that's possible, you know. And
Yeah.
so everyone's like, oh, the IFBB pushed her out. No,
Oh, I never
Chad
heard
and I
that.
decided a long time ago we wanted babies, you know, and if it was possible and stuff. And so when I got pregnant and everything, we're like, is it for real or not? And so, or did I just, you know, miss my period because I'm doing too much cardio again? So I was getting ready for photo shoots. I was supposed to do, I was supposed to do a photo shoot at the Olympia, but I wasn't feeling very good at the time, and I didn't know why. And so then after they flew me out, and I did photo shoots, and this was after the cell and everything. I was actually supposed to be in the inaugural figure international. The very first year they had figure, because I'd already done fitness after bodybuilding, but I blew my meniscus out. And so I was like, well, okay. And so then I was supposed to do figure. And I was like, this is gonna be great because I don't have to do the routine and worry about blowing my knees out and whatever else out. And so I'm always like really strict on my cardio, my training, my diet and everything and stuff. And
Yeah.
so Chad is like, you know, something's not going right here. And I was like, yeah, I was like, he goes, you got to be cheating on your diet or something, because you don't ever have a pooch on your tummy and you got like a little, you know, it's just not as flat as it used to be. And I was like, well, I'm 34 now. I was like, maybe, you know, my metabolism's slowing down or something. And so I started researching stuff, and there was something like athletes. I read something that athletes could go into perimenopause early from having amenorrhea over the years from being so low on body fat. And I'm freaking out, and I'm crying like, oh my God, I'm never going to have children and all this stuff the whole time I'm pregnant, you know, and not knowing. And so then I was in the tanning bed. And when I was in the tanning bed, always before, my stomach would be concave and it was a little poochy.
Sure.
And Chad came in and he's like, while I was tanning, because we had a tanning bed in our house, and he goes, get out of the bed right now. And I was like, what'd I do? He goes, we're going down to the drugstore and we're getting pregnancy tests. Something is wrong. And I was like, okay. And we bought like 30 of them, every brand, every, and you know, they're like, wait 5 minutes. This thing, as soon as we like got it wet, was
Yeah.
like line. And I was like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. And one of my really good friends is a drug rep. And so she knew all the OBGYNs in town. And I was like, oh my God, I need someone like now. And the next day she got me in to one of her really good friends. And she's like, yes, you're definitely pregnant. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay. So I'm sitting here. I was doing cardio like a mad woman and dieting because I was getting ready for some photo shoots and getting ready for the figure international. And I'm like, have I fried his little brain with too much cardio? What have I done? You know, like, so I was so nervous, but she's like, just stay seated, because she measured me and everything. And I'm like, I'm not even showing. She goes, I can trust me. I know what I'm like, okay, you know what you're doing. And she's like, just stay laying down or seated, because she goes, how far along do you think you are? I was like, I don't know, maybe a couple months. And she goes, you're 19 weeks and 6 days. You're basically halfway through your pregnancy. And I almost got sick right there, because I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. But I was so excited at the same time. And it was the coolest experience, but the scariest experience at the same time. Cause I'm like, oh no, is everything okay? But
Yeah.
he's wonderful, and Dominic turned out great. And then we did have to do emergency C-section with him and stuff, but it was easy with Morgan then, because I just planned it. I was like, let's just plan it, get him out and go. And because it was really weird. The first time with Dominic, I went through everything. I went through the, my water broke, or no, my water wouldn't break. I went into labor, but my water wouldn't break. So that was horrible. But, and I was in labor for 24 hours before they would do the C-section. And they're like, and I was like, couldn't you have done this like 23 hours ago?
Right.
You know, but everything turned out great. And then like the second time around, when I was supposed to have my C-section with Morgan, it didn't even feel like I was ready yet. I'm like, are you sure this is okay? Because you know, I didn't go through any of, you know, the labor or anything yet. And they're like, no, but he was a big boy. They took him a little early because they said by the time, if I would have gone full term with him, that he would have been close to anywhere from like 10 and a half to 12 pounds. And I'm like, no, thank you. So,
Oh, that's so funny. So you like, did you go in and do an ultrasound right away then? I mean, that's at 19 weeks. They can tell you the gender already at that
oh,
point.
that day they took me down the hall and oh yeah, I found out that day that he was a boy. I mean, it was a lot in one day. Yeah, that was a very stressful but exciting day.
That's so crazy. Oh my word. Well, and it makes a lot of sense because I know even now, and I remember, again, I'm just going off a podcast, like I heard Chad talk about how you just are, you're just naturally pretty disciplined with your diet and you stay lean. Like you've always been someone who stays pretty lean, which I think maybe made it a little bit more difficult for you to add on size, but you were always, yeah, but you always looked really good for state. So I'm curious about this. Yeah, so I mean, it would make sense that being that lean, you probably had bouts of amenorrhea and
Always.
yeah,
Not just in bodybuilding, but always,
yeah,
because I was always in sports and stuff, and I was always relatively lean.
yeah,
And even now, people are like, "Oh my God, how do your legs stay in shape?" It's like that. They're just like that all the time.
yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's like where I put on my abs go, that's what goes. It's like so it's like that's where I hold that's my problem spot is my abs.
Yeah.
So but everything else is pretty defined and good all year round.
Have you noticed that with your, like, I noticed that I hold more belly fat than I used to. Like after 42, 43-ish, I was like, it never gravitated here. And now it's like, oh, that's interesting. It's just crazy how over the years, and not, if I was stricter, obviously it wouldn't. I'm more like your husband with the dieting. I prefer to eat food. But I have noticed that just over the years, as you age, body fat tends to distribute differently. Have you noticed that too?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Especially, my 40s, I wasn't too bad. I was like, okay, this
Yeah.
this is going good so far. But 50, I'm 53 now. So once I hit 50, it was like, wow, things are really starting to slow down. So I hadn't been training like bodybuilding training forever. I had been doing a lot of running, a lot of just, plyometric things. I wasn't in there actually lifting, but I was always doing some kind of workout. And I never stopped working out, the whole time that I retired. I never ever stopped working out. I was always doing something.
Yeah.
But when I turned 50, Chad's like, well, if you're upset with, how things are going, he goes, you need to start, you got to build a little muscle back up again. And I was like, just a little. I was like, I don't want to, and that's when about the time that wellness came out. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wish this is what it was when I started, because I had this light upper body and big legs. And so I was like, that would have been perfect, because I was one, well, we'll just say sports of, especially like cheerleading and dance and things like that have changed tremendously since I competed. We weighed in twice a week. And if we were overweight so many times, we got kicked off the squad.
Oh, wow. Which like they wouldn't even allow that now. Like,
oh no, you could sue the school for that now. It's like, but it irritates me because I'm like, I had to weigh in twice a week. And and they were always constantly harping on weight. Fat doesn't fly, flat doesn't go, or fat doesn't fly up in the air when you're trying to do a stunt, or you're not gonna be able to tumble as good if you're fat. And I mean, that's how they would tell you back then. They didn't just say, oh, watch your weight. It was like, fat doesn't fly. and, and they would tell us if we, they thought we were, and there were several of us that ended up, the eating disorder route and stuff. And that's why I enjoyed bodybuilding, because it got me away from that. And even in college, they weighed you in twice a week. And if you were, you had like I think a 5-pound buffer. And if you missed that twice, you got kicked off the squad in college. And, no one wanted, and one of the girls did when I was in college. And it was so sad because she was a really good dancer, but, she was just a bigger built girl, and she just she had trouble, maintaining weight and stuff. And now, I mean, I think it's a great opportunity for girls who just aren't naturally thin and stuff. But, I think it's like, look at what I put myself through to try to stay skinny thin. And it wasn't that I was big at all, it was muscle. And
Yeah.
so my weight weighed more than most people's, even though the people that weighed less than me looked bigger than me, because the muscle was dense. So it's important. I think it's important now. I mean, I'm glad that they allow all shapes, sizes, whatever, to do it, as long as they're good at what they do. That's if you're good at what you do, that's fine. But it's like, at the same time, I'm like, I wish they would have been a little kinder to us back then. But back then, that was like the standard. Everyone was supposed to be thin and petite and this and that, and runway model skinny. And it's like, now, you can be a runway model and be a plus size model and be a gorgeous runway model. So, things have changed tremendously.
Well, when you're talking about, I mean, you're only like 20, 25 years removed from when girls weren't doing even gym class in high school because they felt like it would, hurt the reproductive system or whatever, because I know, my mom used to talk about that too. They wouldn't let girls like do, and this is 25 years beyond you, but still, so it's just crazy how you get that type of speech. And we know now too that, I mean, a woman can gain 5 pounds overnight just with a menstrual cycle or a high sodium meal.
Exactly. That's like, well, when I was pregnant, it was like a family curse on my Italian side of the family. At 4 weeks, it was like 4 weeks before delivery date, with both the kids, I had only gained like 20 pounds up to that point. So I'm like, I'm feeling good, and then overnight I fill up with 20 pounds of edema.
Yeah.
And it's like, where did all this water come from? I was having to wear Chad's flip-flops. I couldn't fit anything. You could like push in my leg and the hole would stay in there. And I was like, this is horrible. But then as soon as I had, both the kids, like, I lost like 20 pounds of water that day. And it's like, holy crap. But I talked to my mom and my grandma. She's like, it's the Italian curse. It's happened to every woman on this side of the family. And I'm like, gee, thanks for letting me know. But I was prepared for it with Morgan. So I really kind of the last, month and a half watched my diet so I wouldn't have to worry about that. But it still happened. It's just something that just happens. So
yeah. We've come a long way with just understanding, I mean, people even like, I work a lot with my clients and we do diet around menstrual cycles. I do that with my own menstrual cycle. Having endometriosis, it's kind of like, you got a week where I personally don't feel very strong in the gym leading up to or into my period. And and I am craving more food and I eat more and I don't gain weight if I eat more because I'm burning more calories, but we didn't have all that understanding. But it's like, you could have weighed somebody at the, while they're on their period, if you're doing your weights, and of course you're going to be up, 5 pounds or whatever. So, it's kind of scary that, it's like, this is how people were coaching and teaching back in the day with our female sports, you know what I mean? So.
Oh, yes. And also too, the thing that, it looks prettier. It's like, well, that's
to who?
Subjective to who. Yeah, exactly. So like I said, as long as you are doing a good job at whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter. As long as you look great, as long as you, and what I mean by look great, I mean, as long as you keep your appearance up, you make yourself up nice and everything. If you're good at what you do, it doesn't matter,
Well, and even with, there's a lot of like this healthy at any size now. And I think there's a lot of truth to that to an extent, but mostly you don't really know at what stage somebody is in their their health and fitness journey. And so you shouldn't be, making comments about, what somebody looks like, because somebody who's overweight could have lost a bunch of weight, or they're trying and learning how to, or they're just doing the things to be healthy. And it's going to take some time for, the weight to come off or the muscle to come on or whatever it is. So, I think there's definitely a healthier perspective on, how we treat women, just knowing, and especially like what you were saying too, that those words really do matter, and made an impact on some of the women that you knew as well.
Well, they do, because I mean, when, people talk about, oh, they're just words, but you hear those over and over and over and over again. And when someone, it's like when I was growing up, people call me, thunder thighs, or you're really big. And I'm like, big? I look back at pictures now and I'm like, I wasn't big, but I was muscular. So that was their word for muscular, big. But to me, I'm thinking fat, so it's like, you really have to watch, how you word things. And I mean, I'm not a Karen, I'm not like, oh my God, you can't ever say anything negative about it. It's like that's human nature. You're gonna, critique people, especially in our business, you're gonna critique people and stuff like that. But there's a way to do it constructively, positively, and then there's a way to just be not nice about it. And there's no reason to be not nice about it,
No. Well, and to add to that about words matter, all you have to do is kind of compare, like, children who have had their parents tell them I love you, and children who haven't. If you hear I love you over and over again, you're loved. And if you've never heard that, then you wonder about it. You know what I mean? So words, positive or negative, of course they matter. And repetition of those words can really create somebody,
Exactly. Or if you're not a strong person, they can end up defining you in not a good way. Because, I truly believe that if someone tells you something long enough, whether it's positive or negative, you start to believe it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and that's why after I got out of bodybuilding and just started doing my own thing, and just being happy with what I truly wanted to do, because I loved bodybuilding. I'm not saying I didn't. I loved winning. I loved, getting lean. I hated having, people making fun of my face for getting, all sucked in. But that was part of how I knew I was in shape. The death face, but it's not acceptable for a woman to have death face, but back then, it's like, I wish I had fillers and all that kind of stuff back then I could have had cool cheeks, or I wish they would have like had all the, what I want to say, Photoshop and everything back there. They just could have fixed my cheeks in the pictures and no one would have known.
Right. Right.
But I am at the point in my life where, I'll just say I'm the most comfortable with myself I've ever been at this point in my life. And even though like I'm in my 50s, I feel I am the most attractive I've been in my life because I'm happy with myself. I'm building the body or creating the physique that I truly am comfortable and happy with now. And I look the way I want to look. I feel the way I want to feel. That was one thing. I loved bodybuilding, but when I got out because it was going a direction I didn't want to go any further in, if you understand that. And after 4 titles, I was like, what do I really have to prove now? And it's like, well, you should go for 10. And it's like, what's that going to do? What, is that going to, set me up for life? Is that going to make me a superstar? Is that going to, what's that going to do for me? Besides just add extra stress to, life and body and everything. So that's why I got out when I felt it was time that, I had done enough. But the great thing, Chad and I were under contract with Weider. Okay. And I got under contract first when I won the Olympia, but we had a contract with them for like 15 years. And it was like one of the longest running contracts ever because Joe and I were, he was Uncle Joe for me. And, he would call me, we would talk. He was the most wonderful man. I mean, I loved him. Chad loved him, and he was very, very good to us. Betty's wonderful too. She's just a wonderful woman. They were just wonderful people to us, and cared for me like I was one of his relatives. He was very, very sweet, and he would constantly say, you know, he called me sweetheart. You know, I know you don't want to be big like this anymore. He's like, you know, he goes, why don't you try, you know, fitness? Let's see what you do in fitness. He goes, I know you have a background. Let's see what you do in that. He goes, I'll keep you under contract. Well, the more the smaller I kept getting, the more shoots I started doing and everything, because I could show my versatility. And then when I came back at, you know, I think I was 33 when I did I was 33 when I did the Fitness International. And so I had to go back to dance, gymnastics, you know, tumbling, everything, have a choreographer, everything all over again. The only good thing is I had such a big base from bodybuilding that I didn't even have to train with weights, just the resistance from doing strength and flexibility moves in the gymnastics, and the cardio was enough to keep my body in shape. So I was lucky where some of the girls had to spend hours a day in the gym plus do all that, but they were like in their 20s and I was like 33. So I'm like, how's this going to work? But it worked really, really great. And I enjoyed it, and it was fun. And I actually, bodybuilding is very, very hard, but so I've competed in bodybuilding, fitness, and figure. That's all there was at the time, you know, for me to compete in. So, I will say fitness, I think, is the hardest of all of them because of the routine. And well, so when I did it, we had to do, the 45-second routine, which was that really cool black cat suit that everybody had to wear. So we had a 2-piece, it was 4 rounds. So we had a 2-piece, we had the 45-second routine in the cat suit, everybody matched and it looked really cool. And then we did the 1-piece comparisons, and then we did the 2-minute routine. But everybody did longer than 2 minutes because everyone wanted to outdo each other. That was the hardest thing.
Yeah.
I was 33. I hadn't done routines like that since college, where you're just all out, just nuts for 2 minutes, like aerobics and everything. And that was the hardest thing. I actually, when I first learned it, I had to learn it in 2 parts because it was so much and so tasking on the body that I had to, you know, learn one part and then the second part and then start fusing them together slowly until I could get through the whole routine. That was the hardest thing for me, to be able to keep energy up the whole time with a smile on my face, even though you have the worst lactic acid burns at the end of your routine because you're tumbling and doing strength and flexibility, crazy stuff. And it's like, how am I doing this? The whole time I'm thinking this, how am I doing this actually?
Yeah, with like no body fat, you know what I mean? I think about this every time, you know, I mean, I watched Missy this weekend and Oksana, still 2 of my, I mean, you know,
they're phenomenal. I love them both.
Yes, you
2 totally different stuff, and I love Missy's body. Her body is just gorgeous.
Oh my word. Well, it's funny. I don't know if you ever listened to Fuad's podcast, but he talks about her, like, why don't you just do figure? I think you would win. Like, he wants her to
her physique is just unbelievable.
It totally
is. For figure, because you usually don't see that, you know, and it's just amazing. But Oksana, she has a special place in my heart because she qualified for her very first Olympia at my me and Chad put on a fitness pro show down in Arkansas, the All-Star Pro Show Fitness, and it was so neat because she qualified there, and I was like, this girl's routine is just amazing. And I mean, I think it took the industry a while to catch up to just how great she was, because it wasn't just her routines are a story, and her routines, it's like a ballet. It's like going to the opera or to the ballet. It tells a story, which is so neat. But, you know, from a judging standpoint, you're probably looking at it when you first see it like, how do I judge this? Because it's so different from everyone else's. But it's so beautiful. You can never deny her, you know, although Missy, it's a totally different style, but hers is kick butt too. 2 totally different styles, but I love them. But Oksana, she has a very special place in my heart because, well, and Russian and everything too. So I've always had a special place for her.
Yep, I agree 100%. I've said this before, it because it's like apples and oranges, and I 100% and think that Missy dominates in both, you know, aspects of the physique and the performance. But I would never, like you said, Oksana does tell a story with every performance that she does, and you just get sucked in, like your soul is connected. Like she just, yeah, like it's like you could hear a pin drop with the, you know, the performances that she does. Like you said, it's like a ballet. I know
And
there.
not to sound sappy, but I cry every time I see her.
Well, I was going to say that I met her at the I don't remember, it was the first time I met her, and then I went to the what's the before the Olympia where they have the the competitors meeting, you know, where they
The Olympians,
no, it's
or the press conference thing.
yes.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I went to that. We got tickets to that, and so then you kind of were able to go around and see people, and that was in 24. It was in 2014, and I met Nicole Wilkins after I met Oksana. But I went up to Oksana and I opened my mouth, and just tears started to, and she got all teary eyed, and I just said, you are so inspiring because what you do is so beautiful. It's just, you know, you're just like connected to the person on stage. And yeah, I do, I cry every time too. It's just gorgeous. Yeah, she's a beautiful human being, just beautiful.
She is, and that's what I love about her too, because I mean she's so talented, but she has the most beautiful heart too. She's a great person.
Yeah, yeah, I think that I was just talking to, I interviewed Pat Goslin a couple of days ago, and we were talking about how you can really, and I think you have this too, you can really sense who the beautiful people are in this industry. There's just, and I'm not saying that, you know, there's not a lot of them, but like certain people are just genuinely beautiful people, and you can really tell who those people are. So it's just neat.
Yeah, it's great to see too, because I know that the industry has a what do I want to say, kind of a narcissistic image, you know, and kind of a self-serving image and stuff. But
Yeah.
there are so many really great people
Yeah.
in the industry too, you know, that are giving and you know are, you know, truly just in it because they love the sport, truly just want to help people and everything. And that's like, you know, my feelings were hurt when I first retired, because people were like, oh, and then when I went to fitness, oh, you've abandoned women's bodybuilding. It's like, no, because what people didn't realize is I had been promoting shows since 1991.
Yeah.
And we still to this date offer every class for every women's bodybuilding category.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, and what I look at it as now, see, because when I started, it was men's and women's bodybuilding. That was it, cut and dry, nothing else.
Yeah.
And so you know, when people are like, I don't want to be a bodybuilder, I don't want to be I'm like, but you already are, because even in bikini, if you're lifting weights, you're building your body. So you are in essence a bodybuilder, no matter what category you're in. It's just a different level of bodybuilding. So that's, you know, a lot of people like that statement. A lot of people don't like that statement, you know, but it's like, take it or leave it. No matter what you're doing, if you're lifting weights and trying to build yourself, you're building your body. So you're a bodybuilder.
Absolutely. And like you said too, you carry it into, you have to kind of, you know, you have to adjust according to what is going to be best for you. And it sounds like you have always been really good at making choices for yourself and what's best for you. I wanted to ask you, because you had said that you blew out your knee, you tore your meniscus. Did you ever get that fixed or?
No, I have a nice little lump on the back of my knee now from it and stuff still. And it swells up and everything. And I'm falling apart. No, it's genetic. I have RA. I have rheumatoid arthritis. My father had it, and I believe my Italian grandmother had it as well, but my Russian side definitely had it. And I was diagnosed with it 5 years ago. So I've had to really like, they wanted me to totally quit weightlifting. And I'm like, you can't take that away from me. You know, it's just like with people with Ronnie that get mad at Ronnie Coleman. Why are you doing this? You can't even walk. Why are you doing this? And it's because he loves it. He just, and it's him. And he told Chad one time, he said, I would die if you took that away from me.
Yeah.
And I truly feel like that. You know, I don't know that I would die, but I would be very depressed. I would be, you know, they wanted me to just start running. Running hurts me more than, you know, anything really. But I was like, I still do that to an extent, because I just love to get out in the fresh air and do road work and stuff, but it does hurt me and everything. But that's why I get extra sick now when during allergy season and stuff, the allergies causes my RA to flare, and then it's a whole storm. And so it went to where it happened like a couple times, like spring and fall, and now it's like every few months. So it's kind of rough. And there's days where, you know, my hands don't work, I drop things, I feel awful, and I get depressed and stuff. But then I'll get back in the gym and then I feel better. So, you know, it's like you can't take something that's so instilled in you for so long away. You know, it's like I remember talking to people about, you know, eating habits and this and that. And like even when we were Chad's mom years ago, when she had a heart attack, we tried to get her to change her eating. And she's like, honey, I've been eating like this my entire life. She goes, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die eating the stuff I enjoy. And so it's like, well, same with me in fitness. It's like, if I'm going, and it's not that I'm doing anything bad, but you know, or anything, I'm staying totally healthy and doing it totally healthy. But it's like, you know, if you think that me lifting every day is going to shorten my life because of RA, it's like taking it away would shorten it even, you know, more.
Yeah. Well,
because,
and the quality of it is what's gonna you know, would be the problem as well.
That's the problem. People don't realize the more sedentary they are, the less, you know, fit they're going to be. It's just like, you know, we have to get on the kids, because it's so easy to get on their video games and just, you know, blow hours on video games, and you're just sitting, you know. And so we're like, okay, we're doing the whole inertia thing, you know, a body in motion stays in motion, when at rest, you know, doesn't do anything, you know. So we're constantly, you know, instilling that in the kids. If you're not moving, you're not doing anything, you know. So it's like, how is that supposed to help you, you know, work your fast twitch? How are you going to, you know, make your fast twitch muscles work if you're just laying around all the time? Get up and move, get up and do something, you know. So we got to limit the games and everything. But I've never turned my back on women's bodybuilding ever. I've always promoted it. And just because I don't compete doesn't mean I, you know, don't like, but I love it. And the thing that irritated me most was when people, you know, said that I turned my back on it when I went to fitness, figure, whatever. And it's not that. I was showing my versatility.
Sure.
You know, my whole career, people are like, oh, she's this, you know, big, you know, massive. And the funny thing is, technically I'm like 5'8 3/4. So we usually just round it up, say, oh, I'm about 5'9". But the heaviest I weighed was at the last Miss Olympia I did in 99. And I think it was between like 155, 160.
Okay.
And there's a lot of figure girls I know now that are my height that weigh that much in figure.
Yeah.
So it just shows the sport evolves and stuff. And it's crazy. People thought I was so massive, but it's just the way my structure is, the way, you know, my muscle pops off the bone. I have a smaller bone structure. It's like, so I didn't have to weigh as much as a lot of the girls and stuff. And so, but then when I wanted to show my versatility, so I was like, let's show them I can do fitness. Let's show them I can do figure. Let's show them that 3 months after I had Dominic, that I got on stage and did a pro figure show. Yeah, I'm nuts, but it was fun.
That's really awesome.
And a great way to get my baby weight off too. So
that's so funny. It is weird that people are I don't know, even just the fact that they dictate what other people should be doing, like deciding for their life or how they want to flow in and out of this sport. I mean, Juliana Malacarne, she went from bodybuilding to women's physique. I mean, people switch around stuff all the time. And a lot of times, you know, it's that progression of, since we have so many categories now, you know,
Yes.
starting with bikini, working up to figure. Now
Exactly. That's what I love about it, is because you have choices now. So
yeah,
yeah, you can start out small, and then if you want to keep growing, you have that option. Or if you want to stay where you are, you have that option. But I just think it's neat to be able to, you know, show versatility and show that it's just more, it's more marketability for you. It's more, it just shows people. And I think the reason I got a little bit of backlash on it is because I was the first to do it. I was the first to say, okay, I don't want to, it's not that I didn't want to be Miss Olympia anymore. It's like, I just don't want to bodybuild anymore. I want to try some different things. And it's like, oh my God, what is she doing? She's abandoning us. It's like, no, no. It's just, I'm just trying a different thing now. It's
with
like,
with your background and everything, it would totally make sense with fitness coming out for you to give that a shot. I mean, because like you said, it's so unique, it's extremely difficult. And if you don't have some sort of a cheerleading gymnastics background, I mean, this is why there aren't a lot on the local and national level people doing fitness, because I mean, quite frankly, it's just too hard. Like it's a
it
challenge
is.
beyond bodybuilding. It's unbelievable for sure.
And it's, I like the, I still love women's bodybuilding, but I really enjoy the women's physique now. I'm really enjoying that.
Yeah.
And just, it's, I love that look. I think that's a beautiful look, and I really love that look. And you know, I'm impressed, and I think it's commendable, just the sheer size and everything that the girls are putting on in the bodybuilding now. And some of them are so shredded and ripped, and it's like, oh my gosh, way beyond shredded that I could probably ever achieve. But it's so cool to look at. But it's like, for me, I think the physique, I love that look right now. I think that's really neat. And a lot of the girls, well, I love Shaniqua. And I
Yeah.
know she's not competing anymore, but I loved her physique. She's just gorgeous and beautiful, and she's a sweet person. And I loved her look and everything. And that to me was beautiful. So
She was a freak, but it was like you said, it was just feminine, graceful. It was beautiful. I love women's physique too, and I think that was I mean, I fell in love with bodybuilding and I loved it, but when women's physique came out, that's when I thought, oh, now there's a category I would like to fit into and give this a shot. So I love that, the way the sport is constantly evolving and they're coming up with different categories so that more people can not just get into competing, but carry that into the rest of their life. You know what I mean?
yes.
It gets somebody into the gym, gets them to learn how to put muscle on, and I think healthier long term. So I mean,
Well, and it builds structure too, not just in the gym, but it carries over into your life, and it helps you keep more organized and structured in your personal life. And so, not that I'm a person, when I let myself go and I'm not, I'm a mess. No, no, no. I have, when I was 9, I was diagnosed with anxiety and panic disorder back then. But, he didn't really do anything with it back then because we can't talk about that. That's not good. You just got to deal with it. But I had horrible, I mean, literally at the age of 9, all through until now, even felt like I was having a heart attack every time I would get panicked or have anxiety and stuff.
yeah.
And so I finally I got treatment for it and everything, and I'm a lot better now. But just the sheer anxiety that the sport puts on you too, it was like it was a lot for me to handle, but it helped me grow as a person, and it helped me also learn to not just deal with, but how to control my anxiety, and how to not just worry about being on medicine to control it, but also how to calm myself down, inside, how to, deal with things, and how to, I mean, I still worry about everything too much. That's just me. I'm a worrier. I worry about everything. I think that's the mother in me. I don't know. But, I worry about everything. Chad says I worry about silly things, but to me, they're like huge things. So it's just, I've always been a worrier, and I've always been anxious about things. And like I said, I don't, this is my second, video interview here. So I'm like freaked out about that.
No, no,
Even,
you're doing great. And I have to agree with you that, all these things that I mean, it helps you learn more about yourself. And again, these struggles help build our character, help us become better people. I think a lot of times, like, kids today expect, everything to happen all at once at life, them to be set by the time they're in their early 20s. And it's like, no, most people struggle for 20 years until they get to a comfortable place in life. That's just, if it happens ahead of that time, then you're doing really well. But I don't know anybody who would trade that time to get rid of all the experience and the lessons that they've learned along the way, and earning it, whatever it is,
Right.
Yeah.
So when are you going to compete again, or are you? I can tell you're trimming up. You're up and looking good.
You're so kind. I don't know if I do ever compete again, it will probably be after Anna is going off to college, or we kind of get into a better place with that. I honestly had to, I think, do a lot of healing as far as stuff that happened to me before I got into competing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of issues with emotional eating. It's really funny because I actually today, so I always do check-ins with myself on Saturdays. So I do my pictures and my check-ins. And I think at the end of the year, I'll maybe post like before and after, because, through the lockdown and everything, I didn't have a lot of gym access at that time. I was working a ton, and I really was doing a lot of like just mindless eating, because once again, you take away the gym and you're stressed out, and the world was stressing me out, and social media was stressing me out, and the news and everything else. And that's when I just found myself like kind of mindlessly eating before I would crash right before I went to bed and stuff like that. So just by managing that and being more routine with my training, I've seen a lot of really great improvements with my physique. And I just want to get to a point where, like you had said before, I am definitely more comfortable now than I've ever been, even though I'm not going to say that I'm bigger than I've ever been, but it's just different. My body fat was like, I was a chubbier kid in high school, and then I was real thin, and like more anorexic type thin. And so, you kind of just have to figure out what you're going to be comfortable with. And I kind of know where I want to be. And I know when I'm there, I will be a lot closer to being able to compete, because I'll be within striking distance of a show. So, and have been settled more into this healthier mindset of like not demonizing food as being good and bad, and having a healthy relationship with food. I think I'll be more mentally in a good spot to say, okay, I can do this prep diet because I understand what it is. And I think that it's been a long time of learning just my food relationship, because I wanted to be so strict with stuff. And then, like I said before, you say no, you tell yourself you can't have something, and then you want it. But
right. Or you don't want it until it's taken away from you, and then you want it even more, but like when we've even, I don't know what you do with Anna, but even with the boys, I mean, well, they eat so much now because they're growing, they're so big. Oh my gosh. So I was like, I cook. I love to cook. I wasn't a good cook when I started out, but I inherited my grandmother's Italian cooking talents. So they came a little later on in life, but I can cook my butt off now. So, and bake too. But we started the boys because they were eating so much, and I was making like 6 fresh meals a day. I'm like, I felt like a short order cook, you know. I'm like, Kim's Diner is closed, okay? So I was like, we got to do something. And so I went one time to Sam's and bought some of those meal prep things, and they sat in my dining room on my buffet forever because I'm like, am I really going to start doing this, or is this going to be a bigger problem? But actually, I pick 2 days a week, and I just prep all these meals. And the kids, they're very picky. They like about 5 different things, and that's about, well, no, well, let's say Dominic does. Morgan, I don't think is meta food. He's never liked. But it's good because you know we put the right portions in for him and everything. And you know, Chad created how much they, you know, a plan for Dom and a plan for Morgan and stuff. And so it's neat to see them, because I was into diet when I was in high school. I was, well, because we had to get weighed in and stuff, but we were also into starving ourselves and everything, you know, at the same time, because we're like, you know, that's all we knew back there. You starve yourself, you lose weight, you know. And so now they've been eating, you know, meal prep foods. They've been eating like bodybuilding style food. But on the weekends and stuff, if we want pizza, or if we want, you know, to, if I want to bake a cake or cookies, or if we want to go out and get a donut or something, we'll do it. And as long as you have a base to where, you know, you have a regimen during the week, you can get away with that, because people will see me and they're like, how can you look like that? I just saw you eat this the other day. And it's like, because the rest of the week I'm doing this, you know. And you, the older you get, the more you learn about your body. And I've also learned too, since I got diagnosed with RA, all these foods that cause inflammation, that make me flare, that, you know, are not good for, you know, arthritis and everything. So I've cut all of those out, and it's helped tremendously too. But I just think it's really cool that the kids at this young age want to eat like that. And so I'm like, okay, this is good. But, you know, I wish, you know, we would have done stuff like that back when I was, you know, young and everything. But I just think it's so important to nutrition, you know, the training and stuff is very important, but you're not going to be in shape. You're not going to be, you know, your best if you're not following a proper nutritional program for you. And that's, you know, I used to get irritated with Chad if there was a loss, like say if he was prepping someone and they lost, you know, Chad's like, that's my fault. And I'm like, to a degree, but not really, because what if they didn't follow what you were saying?
Right.
You know, it's like you're, I was like, with me, you know, you had 100% control because we were together 24/7. But I was like, you don't know if, you know, just because you send someone a program and they're saying, yeah, I'm doing this, are they really? You know, and then come to find out afterwards, you know, Chad gets the blame for this, but then someone will come out, well, I was eating this and this. And it's like, was that on your plan? You know, it's like, if it wasn't on your plan, then that's on you, because you did that. That wasn't what he told you to do. I always used to get so irritated when someone would blame him when they knew that they were eating stuff. And I'm like, come on.
It's so funny. I that totally resonates with me though. Absolutely. Because I mean, for the most part, I have the same thing where they have some inflammation issues as well with my joints, and I have endometriosis, and a lot of that is handled with diet also. So, you know, that was where a lot of the struggle was, because it was like, I want this stuff. I can't eat this stuff. You know, it just was, you go back and forth in your head. And I know now for the most part, same as like what you said, during the week, I can tell you pretty much exactly. I honestly am eating chicken and vegetables and rice a couple of times a day. And sometimes it's even my first meal of the day for breakfast, because a lot of times I would do oats, but I actually just feel really good eating a chicken and rice and vegetable meal. So a lot of times I start out the day, eating that. But like you said, on the weekends, Anna and I will go, we love getting iced coffees from Dunkin'. So we'll go get an iced coffee, or we get donuts on Sundays sometimes. She has a gathering tonight with her friends at work. And so I made a pie for that, but she was like, can you make another one so we have one here at home? So it's like, but like you said, for the most part, it's almost like you have to make the mistake over and over until you realize, oh, this isn't working out for me. Even if it's like the instant gratification of eating something delicious, but then feeling like crap later. And you're like, how many times am I going to do this to myself before I realize it's not worth doing most of the time? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And well, actually, we always use the cheat, snack or meal or whatever too, as a deterrent, because you do feel so crappy after you've done that. It's like, oh God, what did I do? Or you just feel sick because it's like, oh God, I thought this was going to be great, but it was awful, And
Right.
so it's a good thing, because it makes you want to get back on your regular schedule too. So, but I just, there's so much stuff I want to do now. I've that I've been trying to figure out what I want to do with my platform and what I want to do with things. And I think the main thing I want to do is show that you can be in this lifestyle, the bodybuilding lifestyle, the true way it was intended.
Yeah.
Is really awesome, actually. And
Yeah.
it gives you discipline. It gives you a healthy body in the true sense of the bodybuilding lifestyle, the way Joe Weider intended, and
Sure.
I mean, I know I keep talking about him, but he was really, really good to me. And he truly, I mean, I've never seen anyone so passionate about a sport, men's and women's. He just loved everybody. And he was just the most wonderful person. And it's like, I want to try to give back some of what he gave to me. And that's why, we like to promote the shows. I help people, and I do have opposing business, and work with people. But then there's some people, special cases where it's just like someone just grows on you, and it's like you just want to help them,
Yeah.
and I just like doing that for people every once in a while too. Someone real special comes along, and if they can't afford a trainer or can't afford a posing coach or whatever, but they've got something really special,
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, let's go work, because Chad and I learned everything on our own. We did everything. We didn't have any help from anybody. We learned everything on our own. He studied, everything on his own and stuff. And so it's like, we like to help because we knew how hard it was for us. I was very lucky. I'm one of the stories that everyone hates to hear, because I'm the story that everyone's, I am, because I started competing in 89. 99 was my last year. I started competing in 89.
Yeah.
And so it was the end of 89. So I competed all of 90. And every show I did, it was just like walk in, win. And I was like, I did 11 shows that year. And I was like, okay, I'm qualified 11 times over now for, national competition. What do I do? And so I took all of basically 91 off to just grow and mature and see where my physique was. And then talked to the higher ups with the NPC and said, what course do you think I should follow? Because I'm one of the rule followers sometimes too much. I was always the first person to send in their entry form, the first person there at check-in. I was that person because I didn't want to miss anything, very, very, worried about missing everything.
Right.
Anxious.
Right.
Yeah. So I was very, I wanted to do everything the way the NPC wanted me to do it because I wanted them to like me, And
Yeah.
so they said, well, what are your goals? And I was like, well, I'd like to turn pro. I'm qualified for national competition. And Chad's like, well, we'd like to send her to USA's. And then if she has to after USA's, we'd like to send her to nationals. And they're like, no, there is, and it was different back then because they're like, there are stepping stones and procedures. You go to the junior show first, the junior nationals. Then if you do good at junior nationals, then try, a pro qualifier. So we're like, oh, okay. And so this is something that I would like to relate to. I was very lucky. I was in the right place at the right time with the right look.
Yeah.
So I turned pro. So I started my competition. I competed a couple times in 89 and then all of 90. So I took the whole year off. So really like in a year and a half, 92 is when I went to junior nationals. I was just hoping to make top 5 because there was only men and women's bodybuilding. There was 27. I was in the heavyweight class. I only weighed 143, I think. And there were girls that were like 175 in my class. And I was freaking out. I was like, well, top 5 is probably not going to happen. And there were 27 girls in the heavyweight class. And I'm like, wow, I'm going to get destroyed here. But because of how everything just flowed and everything, I won the show. I was like, no way. And then 6 weeks later, then the NPC is like, are you going to continue? I'm like, yes. And so definitely. And so then 6 weeks later, we went to the North American in California and I won the overall. And that was the only way back then you could get your pro card was to win the overall. They didn't do no, nationals still did the class winners and then the overall, but like USA's and the North American, you had to win the entire show. So to get your pro card. And then even back then you had to petition. I had to write, the IFBB and the NPC, respectfully requesting my pro card since I was eligible for it.
Oh, wow. That
Yeah,
is,
they didn't hand you the thing on stage. Because if they didn't think you were ready back then,
wow.
I don't know of anyone that they said, no, you don't deserve your card. But I mean, yeah, it was a lot different back then. So it's just grown so much now and stuff. So, and I'm happy it's grown because, it's more acceptable and everything on all levels. But it's just a lot different now than it was back then.
It was much more challenging for you to get it than it is for people now. I will say that. That's amazing. That's really, and like, there's so much respect tied to it. Everything is just very professional,
And I liked that about it. And now the advice I want to, I don't know, not give, but just throw out there is learn the history of the sport. To really learn the history of the sport. I mean, it's fun and it's enticing to get into, but learn the history, learn what it's all about, learn that it takes time. Social media is so now, but to build a beautiful physique, it takes time. And even though I turned pro quickly, I had the athletic background and the physique already started. It wasn't like I started from nothing and had, it came quickly once I changed my style of training and everything. So when it didn't take me long to turn pro, and that's what everyone's like, oh, well, it took her 2 years to turn pro, and on her first try, she did it, and everyone wants to do that now. And it's like, but that's not the norm. I was in, like I said, lucky, the right place, the right time, the right look. So, it all worked out for me, fortunately. But I know so many people that they think, or they'll have cheerleaders in their corner instead of someone, that can discipline them. And I'll say, I mean, a lot of times during my diet preps and stuff, yeah, I would have liked to have locked Chad out of the house. No, I love him very much. But having your coach as your husband, wow. And especially as intense as Chad is, wow. So I remember winning well, I won my first pro show, the Miss International in 93. And so I was so excited coming off of that, because I was like, this is crazy, you know, I was just hoping every show, well, if we make top 5, that'll be great, you know, that'll be awesome. And then I went in and won. And so I really, since I had only been competing really for a couple of, you know, few very short years, I was great at routines, but I hadn't really, what should I say, like I told you, I had a slight upper body and bigger legs. Well, I could always feel my muscles when they were firing and doing what they were supposed to do, lower body, but especially back. It took me forever to build my back. It was hard for me to feel the pose. So, and it's really hard until you get enough muscle back there to do that. And so this one rider minute is a complete compliment, but it infuriated Chad. So it's like, you know, something that I was to the effect that I was the new phenom on the scene. And it's amazing how gifted I was, because I was able to win the show without being able to properly do a back double bicep. So what happened then is like every day for like an hour, we're practicing my back pose, and you know, and then we're putting more emphasis on my back and everything, until I ended up having one of the better backs in the sport. So I was like, okay, it worked, but it was not fun work. And I got yelled a lot, but I knew how to hit my back pose by the time I retired. So
But yeah, but having some of those criticisms is really important. I think now too, you get people who hear criticism, and you know, they get so many, like you said, so many cheerleaders that it's like, oh, well, they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, don't listen to them. You look great. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you do have to listen to a point. I mean, there, like I said, she was doing it, the writer was doing it as a compliment, saying, you know, your physique is so great that even though you can't hit your rear double bicep shot correctly, because I was crunching it in and it was all little bitty and narrow. And so I was like, she was like, her physique is just that good that she was still able to win without doing that. But yeah. Chad's like, okay, we got to take that negative comment right there and fix it. And so, but that's what we did. And that's part of probably my anxiety is I could get like 1,000 great fan, you know, letters and stuff, and get one negative one, and that's all I would focus on, you know. But I think that's part of being a true athlete, and someone that wants to perfect their craft to the best of their abilities. So, you know, you're always harder on yourself when you're like that.
I think the best people in the sport don't recognize their greatness. Those are the people, because that's what drives them to continue to better themselves, is, you know, not really seeing what other people can see when they look at them, you know. So
and I like to be goal oriented too. So, you know, it's like if I have things that I know I need to work on, that I have to work on things, you know, it's like, even like once I won the first Miss Olympia, it's like, okay, I won it. Let's see if we can, you know, beat Linda a second time. So, okay, so I met that goal.
What was that like?
That was unbelievable, because I mean, I looked up to her. I still look up to her. She's wonderful. She's beautiful. And she's just a great, great person with a beautiful soul. But I mean, to me, it was like, everyone's like, no one's ever going to beat her. No one will ever beat her. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe, you know, I'll hang in until after she, you know, retires and stuff. But Chad's like, don't listen to that. You can beat her. You can beat her. And I'm like, okay, if you say so, I'll take your word for it and stuff. And he goes, you know, I would never tell you something like that if I didn't mean it. And I'm like, okay. And so when I did, I was first in shock. And then I was like, I must not be as bad as I thought I must be pretty good. But then the second time I beat her, that is when it really hit that, yes, I'm Miss Olympia. You know, I've made it, you know, and she looked incredible the year that I beat her the second time. But at the same time, like the first year, 96, after the show, we talked on the phone until the sun came up after the show, basically, me and Linda. And it was just, you know, and it was great. It was sweet. I mean, she was so cool. And gracious about it. And even the second time around, and we've stayed great friends, through this whole entire time. We still talk. I haven't seen her for quite a few years because I've been here with the boys because they got their football going and stuff and everything now. So I haven't traveled that much. But when I do see her, it's just like, we pick up where we left off and stuff. So she's always been a really great friend and inspiration, as well as, not just someone I beat at the Olympia. I have always looked up to her and always thought that she was just an amazing woman.
Yeah.
So, but then after that, Chad's like, okay, you've beaten her twice now. We need to go for a perfect score in every round. So that's what, so we always set goals, and the goal was always to look better than the last show.
Yeah.
I didn't like my 99 showing only because of what happened that year. It was a horrible year. 98 was my favorite look overall in Prague. I loved that look the best. But 99, was it 4 weeks out of the show? Yeah, 4 weeks out, I get a call from Peter McGuff from Flex Magazine. And I didn't even get a call from the then president of the IFBB, Wayne DeMilia. I get a call from Peter McGuff, and he says, I've got some really horrible news for you. And I'm like, what's the matter? And he's like, the Miss Olympia is canceled this year. 4 weeks out of the show.
What?
And I'm like, canceled? Yeah. I was like, what are you talking about canceled? We don't have the money. And what happened was the one promoter, she was a really great promoter, but there was always financial issues with her. And when it came time the show was supposed to be in LA that year and everything, they were gonna have great big billboards and everything. I had even helped get sponsors for the Olympia that year just so we could have it. And then they're like, no, we don't have the money. We can't have it. And so I was heartbroken because the year before in Prague, they wanted to cut the women's prize money. They're like, and so the women contact me saying, you need to talk to Wayne DeMilia and Ben Weeder. And I'm like, and Jim Mannion. And I'm like, well, are you guys going to talk to them too? I was like, because I'm pretty happy with my title right now. I'm not going to put my head on the chopping block because you guys are upset because the rest of the money's not good. So I was like, I will talk to them, but I was like, I will do it in a diplomatic way, but I need backup from you guys too. And it ended up, I was the only one, I think, that, talked to them. But so they wanted to cut the prize. They wanted to cut first place from 50 to 25,000. Because they said the women just weren't a draw.
No.
And I was like, no, we work twice as hard as the men. And I was like, I'm sorry, but no, you can't do that to us, and I was very, I was professional. And I said, just told him, please don't cut our prize money. I was like, if you promote us in the right way, you'll make your money. You'll do that, everything will be fine. Just please don't cut our prize money because you're just going to lose girls, or they're going to do other things that they don't need to be doing to try to make money and stuff. So please don't take our prize money away.
Yeah. So
and the first year they kept it, and I think they did the second year too, but both years, it's like I had to, even when they canceled it, they brought it back. It went to New Jersey. It was with the women's strength extravaganza when they had that way back in the 90s and stuff. And so they had it in conjunction with that. And it was the craziest show because 99. So 4 weeks out, they said it's canceled. So I was so upset. Chad and I, we ate out every night for a week. I ate whatever I wanted. And so at 3 weeks out, Peter calls back and says, great news. It's going to be held with the women's extravaganza in New Jersey. And I'm like, I said, I'm not going. Right. And they said, what do you mean you're not going? And I said, you canceled it on me. Yeah. So we've been eating for the past week.
Yeah.
And I said, you told me it wasn't going to go. So we're done. And they freaked out. You can't not be in the Olympia. You can't not be in the Olympia. And so So I got my butt back on the diet and cardio and everything. But I was just totally deflated. I was like, how are you canceling this on us? You know, but they decided to go ahead and have it after I had my little talk again and stuff.
Well,
And so,
wait, I want to interject one thing or two
sure.
things. One, so this is why at the Olympia every year, they always have somebody come out and talk about how much the prize money has increased because they had problems with it in the past.
Yes.
So that's why they're saying, like, this is how much more. So they want people to understand that bodybuilding is growing. So that makes a lot of sense now. And the other thing I wanted to say was, so I think I didn't know this. So the Olympia was, when did it start just being in Vegas? Because it used to be at a different
The year after I, in 2000. Yeah. So actually 99, I should say. The women were by themselves bodybuilding, but then in 99, they had the first one in Vegas with everything else.
Okay.
So then in 2000, everything came together.
Okay.
And that's when they started holding everything together, because until then the men's, it would be overseas or somewhere, the women's, but then at that point they started doing well, in 96 they had the masters, the fitness, and then the men's and women's. So it was like, okay, we've got all these things together now, we can actually put everyone together. And that's when they started doing it together, was after it, yeah, in 2000 was the first year that everyone was in Vegas. So
Okay. That's really interesting. What a great ride you have been on. So cool.
It's been fun, and I still enjoy it. And I've gotten to do things and go places that I never would have, you know, done or been to, you know, otherwise and stuff. And I love it because I never wanted to be someone chained to a 40-hour-a-week job. I wanted something exciting. I didn't want to be tied to a desk. I wanted to make my own hours and stuff. So, you know, we by no means are, you know, gajillionaires or anything, but we're comfortable. We love our life. We love what we've created and stuff. And we're happy with, you know, what we've done with ourselves. And I think, and what we've done with our family and everything. And that is the most important part of it, because it's like at the end of the day, all of the, you know, titles and stuff mean nothing if you're not happy, you know, in your life and everything. And it's just, I feel blessed that I've been able to do everything I wanted to do with my life. I still, like Chad and I, like I said, we've been together for 32 and a half years now. So, and we had our 28th wedding anniversary in May. So, you know, it's been a really, really incredible life so far, and hopefully continues on for a lot longer and stuff. But I know I told you earlier, when we had been trying to schedule this and everything, but and he said it's okay if I mention it now, because enough people know. But Chad had been very sick this year. We all had COVID at Christmas time, and so we thought him not getting better was just after effects of COVID. Well, he came back from the Olympia. Everybody got COVID at the Olympia last year. And so, and so Christmas week. So yeah, it's the week before Christmas. And Chad and Morgan got home on that Sunday. And then Tuesday, I started feeling really bad. Well, it hit me because it was about the time of year that I started having a arthritis flare. And I was really sick. And the Christmas day, I was cooking and baking and everything. And I was so sick. And I was like, this is not good. And yeah, we all had COVID and everything. And then it took me until like most of January to really get over it. And Chad was getting over it pretty good, but I was having trouble with it. And we thought I was the one that was going to end up in the hospital. And so, but then finally I turned a corner and everything was fine. But Chad still was sick. And so I'm like, what is going on with you? And so he was getting tired. He was getting lethargic. He was like very, very ill. And so about 2.5 years before that, there's brown recluse spiders in where we live running rampant. And we had a shake roof on our house. We'd gotten it replaced and everything, but there was still, spiders in there. And I don't like spiders anyway, even though I love Halloween, I hate spiders. It's like, that's the one Halloween thing I hate. And so, and they're just everywhere down here. Chad got bit by one on his stomach, and necrosis set in. It looks like he's got a gunshot wound scar in his stomach. But the thing about it is that once the venom gets into the body, it can cause infection anywhere. Well, so they thought they had it. Well, it turned into a staph infection. This is 2.5 years ago. And so they put him on antibiotic protocol and everything, they basically gave him a protocol for MRSA just to make sure everything was killed, and thought it was. Well, there was a sac, an encapsulation that had formed of infection. And over this 2.5 years, it had turned into MRSA. And we thought he was just having neck issues from straining with working out, and stuff. And he thought, well, I'll go to the chiropractor. And so right where the spot is, we know this now, but at the time we didn't. We thought, oh, his neck's just 10-step and everything. Well, the encapsulation was back there, and he had the Theragun used on it, and it opened the encapsulation and blew infection everywhere. Oh, no. So so we take him to the doctor. He's basically, he can't breathe. He's, having problems. He's having chest pains. And we're thinking this is all like after effects. They're like, we think he got long haulers from COVID and all this stuff.
Yeah, you said that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we think, we're seeing that your heart looks, like there might be something going on there. And we're thinking this is all from COVID and stuff. And so they put him on antibiotics because they're like, well, you definitely have some type of infection. And so we still didn't know it was from the Theragun blowing open the encapsulation. And so they give him antibiotics, and a week later we go in there and he's worse. And he's to the point where he's hallucinating and was, going in and out of consciousness. And I was like, I know you're afraid that if we take you to the hospital, you're never going to see us again because of all this COVID protocol and all this stuff. But I was like, I'm not going to let you just sit here and die. Yeah. And so we took him to the hospital, or we took him to the doctor, and the doctor's like, you have to go to the ER now. And this is in February. You have to go there now, or he's like, this is way above anything I can handle. And so first Chad's like, we have to go home first. I'm like, don't do this to me, please. He goes, no, we got to tell the boys. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I understand that, but I was like, we have to go to the hospital because this is bad, I can tell. Well, he had been septic for a week. He had been in sepsis for a week. And so we get into the hospital, and they got COVID. They let me go into triage with him. And as soon as they had a room ready for him, which they took him to ICU immediately, they said, you can come back. You can see him for 2 hours a day. The kids couldn't see him at all. He had 5 surgeries while he was in intensive care for 10 days. They took 5 pounds of infection out of his body.
Word.
And they said this was all from a spider bite from the encapsulation, because like it almost looked like he was wearing like a life preserver around his neck. There was so much infection. And so this has been like the craziest, scary. I mean, I've been with this man for 32 years. I'm like, I'm getting ready to, lose the love of my life here. And I don't know what to do with this. And I can only see him for 2 hours a day. And this is crazy. So I talked to his doctor and I said, as soon as you get him stable, you get him home with me, because he will die in this hospital if he can't be with me and his kids. Yeah. And I was like, he hasn't seen the kids in 10 days. I was like, this is ridiculous. And they wouldn't let him up or anything, And so I was there as much as I could be. And then as soon as they got everything under control, they let him come home, and we had a private nurse come in. And then, so I gave him his antibiotic infusions every day for we were on that for 6 to 8 weeks. And then since then, like about every month, he'd been going in for almost chemo-like antibiotic infusions. He's in the recliner, we'd sit in there and watch TV together, and he'd, get hooked up. And when his bag was done, he was done. And he's now, I think everything, the infection is gone. So everything is good for now. It was very, very scary. And it's still scary because we got to go back in and make sure everything's still okay and that it hasn't come back. But he's feeling much better. And we just, are so thankful that, it worked out the right way.
Yeah.
And because it's like, I'm a strong person, but he's been with me for more than half my life. And it's like, it would be like losing half of my body, if I ever lost him. So, it's been a rough year, but it's been a good year at the same time because we're closer now because of it. And, it really tests you because, he doesn't understand that it's been horrible. I mean, this is like the first time I can really talk about it without breaking down and bawling like an idiot, and just, but because we're at a good, or I should say a better spot now, everything's going well. But I was doing research on stuff, and almost 1 million people a year die from sepsis because they don't know they have it, because it looks like you have the flu or COVID or something crazy. So it mimics itself as all these, illnesses that you would get during the winter anyway. And then, you don't do anything with it. You're like, oh, I'll just get over it. And then most people just die and they don't find out till an autopsy that that's what the cause was. But it says more people die from this that shouldn't because they just don't know what it is. And the thing that scared me the most is when he said the last thing he remembered before his first surgery is that, because he was going in and out of consciousness, is that they said, I have never seen this much infection in a live body. And I was like, it's like that's, and they're like, how is he alive? And how has he stayed alive for this long with this in his body? So it was a really, really, pivotal point, like in our relationship and everything. And it's, I just hope, he realizes, how important, he is to me and the boys and everybody and stuff. And I was like, it's not just, your family that relies on you, but I was like, you've got all your clients and there's a lot of people that care about you, so I was like, I know that this is hard on you, but I was like, it's hard on all of us too. So, but everything's going in a really good direction now. And he's, feeling better, and he's getting ready to start doing interviews and stuff again too. And so we're finally in a good place. But I'm telling you, it's like, I always hear that, not to sound like a holy roller, that God gives you only as much as you can handle. But it's like, I've about had my limit, I think,
You're like, why does he trust me so much?
It's like, but it was, like I said, it was horrible, but at the same time, not to sound weird, but I enjoyed taking care of him, if that sounds, at the same time, you know what I mean? It's like, he trusts me. He knows I'm going to take care of him. He knows I'm not going to, do anything to, hurt his recovery and stuff. And it just felt good to be able, he's always been the one to, look out for me and take care of me. And it's like, this is my turn, this is my, when it's for better, for worse, sickness and health, this is it. This is my turn to do for you. So, it, although it was scary and frightening, it made me feel good that I was able to help him and be there for him, the whole time too. So it's been a crazy year. So
It's been a crazy year. Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that, Kim. And just, all these different aspects of your life. Um, I know from our messages on Instagram that I knew that you were a beautiful person and I have admired you for a long time, but being able to see this is why I do this podcast, is because, we admire the athletes as physiques, and it's really awesome to know that there's these beautiful people inside of these shells. And you accomplished so many wonderful things through a ton of struggle, and you just keep going. And that's what life is. You get all these different things handed to you and you just keep going, and you're just thriving and killing it and doing everything that you were created to do. And I think it's really, really cool. So
Thank you. But that's why I love, seeing your videos every day and stuff. You always, I mean, you've always got a smile on your face. You're always so positive. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to be on with you, because I knew it would be fun, and it would be a good experience and stuff. And, I mean, I look up to you. It's got to be hard. I mean, I know it's hard. And I'm, you're a single mom, but when Chad was sick and I was having to do everything, it's hard. It's really hard. And I mean, there was a point where I thought I was, having a breakdown, and I'm like, you got to keep it together. You just got to, and it was so hard because the whole time I was going through this, I had no one to talk to. Chad's my best friend. I can't talk to him about it because it'll upset him and me, and I'm trying to keep him positive and stuff. So I had to hold all of this inside. And, I'm like, what do I tell people when they're asking why you're not getting back to them? And then for a while, I was having to, get back to people and stuff. And he's fine. He's just not feeling really good and stuff. And then finally, I know we have a good group of athletes that he's working with, because none of them told anybody. I'm like, usually everyone wants to be the first one to break the story and stuff, and we were just trying to hide it because of all the internet crap. You just never know how people will twist the story and try to, make it way where, oh, it's got to be something to do with bodybuilding. It's like, no, it has nothing to do with bodybuilding. It's a freak, weird thing that you never think would ever happen in your entire life. And that's what we've talked about the whole time. We worry about like what our parents' hereditary problems were, there's heart disease, on both sides of our family. There's diabetes on both sides of our family and stuff. I have the RA on my side of the family. And so, you worry about, heart attack and stroke, cancer, things like that. You never think a spider bite's going to give you sepsis and you die almost from that. It's like, that's the craziest thing ever. So, but, life is crazy. So
it's a good reminder that it just because I'm a worrier too, and like it, like, again, I mean, not to get all holy roller, but the Bible says, does worrying add even a day to your life? And it doesn't. And I need to remind myself, like, I can't change anything about being concerned about something. You either, and it goes back to this bodybuilding thing too. It's, the action is going to get you there, not the thinking or the wishing or the hoping or the worrying.
right.
Oh yeah, it's about our actions. So but what an ordeal, honestly. And he's not quite through it yet, but you obviously are through the worst of it. So
we're through the worst of it now. So, it's a lot better and stuff, but it's been a very, very challenging year. And just, it just, the whole time he was still going to track meets, for the boys and stuff and everything. But bless his heart, as soon as he get home, he was out. But, and no one knew the whole time. No one knew, and so he's like, the last month or so, he started telling people what's been going on, because we've had a lot of people are like, we can't get a hold of you and stuff. And Chad, when he doesn't want to talk about something, he just doesn't, he'll just put stuff off, a little bit, because he's like, I don't want to get into this right now. I don't want to talk about this right now. And so everyone's like, what's going on? So, we're like, okay, he's at a point where,
Right.
we're healing and we're good and we're in a good spot now. So, it's time to let people know, no, we're not ignoring you. No, we're not, trying to, blow you off or anything. We've had some family, medical issues this year.
Yeah. It's funny because I feel like sometimes people feel like they have to explain stuff to people. And I mean, you don't. Like you said, you kept your athletes in the loop, and, obviously me hounding you about being on the podcast, and you were very open with a lot of everything that was going on. And I didn't tell anybody.
Oh, I know. And I could tell because you confided some stuff in me and I haven't said anything. And so I knew I could trust you not to, say anything. And that's another thing. We're very private people. And that's kind of like why we hide here in misery. So we just like to keep to ourselves, and it's like, not that we don't enjoy going out and doing stuff, but we like to keep to ourselves. And when we're at the gym, yes, we talk to people and stuff, but we just like to be left alone to do our workout and stuff. It's like I have no problems talking to people, but not while I'm working out.
That's 100%. Yep. I'm exactly the same thing. And honestly, most of the time I don't want to talk to somebody. I honestly don't. I at the gym, I'm just like, I'm here to work out, not really to make friends. And this is one of the things I love about social media, because there is a whole, like, I have found a whole group of like you and some of the other women that I especially met through this podcast, but through social media. And I remember that, like, they'll just randomly reach out and be like, hey, how are you doing? I haven't heard from you in a while. And it's, to me, I'm like, oh, I forgot that I have friends around the country who care about me. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And well, that's like, when Chad was going through the worst of this, I when something bothers me, I shut down and withdraw. And so when I do that, then my social media, then, it'll be like 3 weeks goes by, I haven't posted anything. Then I start getting all these DMs. Are you okay? You haven't posted in a while. Is everything all right? And then Chad's like, you better post a picture or something so no one wants to know what's going on anymore and stuff. But, we're just private. We just don't feel the need.
Yeah.
And like I said, we hold each other up on a pedestal, and stuff, but we're not constantly online doing it. Like, it's, and it's not that I don't like that. I love when you repost my stuff and, does things like that. But the guys that go on there and like, oh baby, I love you so much and you're everything in my, it's like, why do you have to tell don't your actions show that enough? But that's great if that's what they do. It's just not what we do. We tell each other, in private and stuff, and we show each other, how much we care about each other. We don't have to tell everybody on social media that we do. So
yeah, it is. Yeah, it's funny. We're the same as far as like, I post stuff with Anna. A lot of times I do it to like my close friends group a little bit, stuff with her, but it's like, I don't know. Are you in that? I think that you might be in that. I don't know how much you're on actually watching stuff, but like sometimes I post stuff with Anna just so people understand, like, hey, we're just doing stuff. Like, we just live our lives. You know what I mean? And we're really happy just, like, we do stuff all the time. We spend time together all the time. That's what we love to do. So, I might post like that I'm at the gym or whatever, but it's like, I'm not going to share everything all the time. Just know we really are very happy.
That's the thing. I just get nervous too, posting pictures of the kids and stuff even. I mean, they're old enough now, but I just get nervous doing that, there's a lot of weirdos out there. So
yeah, totally. I know it's I don't usually like tag her or anything anymore. She's had like, her account is private, but she's had people request to follow her, and she's like, who's this? And I was like, just block, like, let me block them, because they shouldn't be requesting to follow you. Like, you're, when you're 13 or 14, or even now, it's just like, so you definitely protecting your family is like number one, I think. And,
Definitely.
and if you're happy living your life and you're occasionally putting stuff on social media, I mean, like, I think it's a really great balance, so.
And it's like, I mean, I'm never going to get to where like I have like a billion followers or anything like that. But I just like to keep myself out there, just, and like I said too, the whole thing, Chad and I were talking the other day about how different moms are now, like looks wise, compared to like when we were growing up and stuff. And one of the things I want to do is show that you don't have to dress like you're 50 years old. You know what I mean? I don't want to dress like I'm 18 years old, but it's like, if I really haven't changed my dress style that much, it's like, I know what I like, and I just continue to wear it and stuff. But it's like, I'm not going to dress like a teeny bopper, but then I don't want to put on some house coat frock, walk around the house all day and in my nightgown or something, or just, it's like, and who says you can't still have long hair and do your makeup and all this kind of stuff and look the ultimate best that you can every day, just because you're a mom, just because you're this age, that age is a number. Age means nothing, and I think part of what's helped keep me young looking is because, not that I'm immature, but I think I've always kept that, teenager, youthful mentality inside me. And I think that's helped keep me young, because I've never looked at life as, oh God, at this age, I need to look like this. At this age, I need to act like this. At this age, I'm just me. And I think that's what's helped me, just stay me throughout everything. Because that's what I told Chad at the very beginning. When I did the first show, I was like, okay, that was fun and stuff. And he's like, yeah, but he goes, you could really do something. And I said, I will go on this crazy bodybuilding ride with you, as long as when I'm finished, I still talk, look, act, function like a woman. I was like, I don't want to, have all these bad things happen to me. And he said, I love you. He goes, I'm not going to do anything to you or have you do anything. He goes, I don't want to wake up to, my wife with a hairy back or something, or, or my wife with more facial hair than me. He goes, I would never do that to you, and he said, because I love you. And it's why it makes me irritated and angry to see men who date women and mess them up and then discard them because they're messed up then. It's like, you're the one that had her do it and now you're discarding her. It's like that. I don't like that. That's awful to me. And the fact that he made sure that, I've been me the whole time, just because my face got drawn, I was still me. And so it's like, that right there, that showed me how much that he cared about me as a person, because he didn't want to do anything. He knew how important it was to me to maintain myself and maintain who I was, and that's why I love bodybuilding and I loved being Miss Olympia and stuff. I hated the off season because I hated having to gain weight because of all the, having to weigh in for so long, all those years and stuff. It's like, I hated gaining weight and everything, but that was the worst part of it for me, and it's like, I look back on it now and it's like, that was a great part of my life, but I'm moving forward. And it's so funny because people are like, are you going to compete again? And it's like, no, I'm not. And they're like, well, why are you still, in shape? And it's like, because I enjoy being in shape. I enjoy being healthy and fit. It's, and it's funny, you see a picture of yourself alone, and people are like, oh my gosh, you need to get back on stage again. But then you get next to those people and it's like, no, I don't need to get back on stage again. They will kick my butt. No. So I just want to, show people that, like I said, you can look great no matter what age you are and stuff.
Yeah. And I love that message. And I think it's universal with me as well. I feel like this is part of the reason why I am still on social media. Cause I don't know if I'm going to compete again, but living the lifestyle at any age, I think of, there's a woman I follow, Train with Joan. She's like 74 years old. She started body. Do you follow her too?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, that's what I thought. Like, if I could be 74 years old and inspiring people to be healthy and in shape, then I will continue to, put myself out on social media. But it's like, you have to learn to adjust with, your environment, whether it's your family, your kids, beyond kids, being married, being, it's like, injuries. You have to learn to adjust, and if you love the lifestyle, you're going to continue to find a way to make it work for you and always look and feel your best, and you are 100% doing that. So I love the message that you're putting out there. So.
Well, thank you. And I love what you do too, because you lift people up, and like I said, you're always so bubbly and happy, and I think it's so neat, the relationship that you have with Anna and stuff. And because Chad and I are very close with the boys, and it's good to see that, you can do your thing, but still be close with your daughter and stuff. And there's a way to balance everything. There truly is. And that's, it's just like, but the balance has to start with you, and that's, and one thing Chad's really into, and I'm really into also, is if you're balanced and healthy inside, it radiates from without, or from out on the outside. So the one thing we like to do when we work with athletes, the main thing, most of them, they don't even know what to do as far as vitamins and minerals, or what keeps them healthy inside and stuff, what makes them feel good, what makes them not feel good and stuff like that. So the main thing that we stress with athletes is having total balance. And for us, total balance is healthy on the inside, healthy on the outside, but healthy mentally as well. Because, this industry will, chew you up and spit you out if you let it. And you have to have, I never have had much of one, but you have to have a tough skin. I'm a pleaser. So, I was always the one that wanted everybody to be happy with me. I didn't want to disappoint anybody. I wanted everybody to like me. Well, I found out that doesn't work. That life doesn't work that way. And some people will dislike you in spite of your bubbly personality, or because you lift people up or whatever. Some people will dislike you because you are the look that they could never achieve or whatever. Some people, and then there's people that just like you, and think you're great. So, but it's like, I finally learned in life that I'm not going to please everybody. Not everybody's going to think you're great, even if you are great. Not everyone's going to like, people are subjective. They have preferences. So it's just like, I see this like saying on social media all the time. It's like, I used to worry that people didn't like me. Now, I worry, you should be worried whether or not I like you,
right.
Basically. So, and it's like that's kind of true to an extent, because it's like, we don't let very many people into what, our little circle here in our family. We're very guarded of that because of, the industry. And there are a lot of people that are out for themselves and will try to use you to see if they can further themselves and stuff. And so it's a matter of letting people in that you want to be in your life, not worrying about like, well, I should be friends with this person, or I should, be seen with this person, or do something with this person on, a professional level or whatever, because, they're important or something. And it's like, well, if it's not going to help you, or if it's only going to hurt you, or if it's not true to yourself,
Yeah.
why do it? And why do something, why do an interview with someone, or why do a project with someone just because of a name, if you don't feel it's going to do you good, or if you don't feel they have good intentions, I should say. I don't like to talk bad about any certain, but how people can be, people's, intentions aren't always good. And people's intentions a lot of times nowadays are, what's in it for me, 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 instead of what can I, do to help others. Because, there's a lot of people, it's like, what do I need to do to earn this? Or what do I need to do to, it's like, well, if you have to ask, you probably don't deserve what you're trying to earn anyway. It's like,
Right.
It's a journey that everyone has to figure out on their own. But if you have to ask people, well, what do I need to do to be a good person? Or what do I need to do to show people that I'm really good at this? It's like, just be good at what you do. Just be a good person,
Yeah.
And it's like, it stupefies me that people have to ask, what do I have to do to be good? It's like,
Well, and I think in this day and age, a lot of people get involved in this because of the notoriety, not because they love it or find a passion, which, like I said, is true to form with you, because you're still doing what you love, even though you're not stepping on stage anymore.
yeah.
So,
But the thing that people need to realize too is that the whole competition thing is so temporary.
yeah.
And there's so much more to life afterwards, but you can still incorporate, like I said, the lifestyle into your life and have it be happy and healthy. But the competition part is so temporary. That's why, it's like you just have to be very careful and stuff. And like I said, it's so important to stay true to yourself, and it's so important to stay true to your beliefs. And if that's one thing Chad does with his clients, is he asks them, and what are your goals?
Yeah.
What do you want? I am never going, he and I are both, we're never going to tell you to do something that goes against what you want to do. We do it the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
So we make your program the way you want to do it. So if you don't want, I know so many, I've heard so many horror stories of trainers or coaches that are like, okay, you have to do this, 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 and this. And then, someone's like all messed up after, and they're like, but my coach told me this. And it's like,
Yeah.
but did you ever stop to say, why do you want me to do this? Or I don't want to do this. And they're like so afraid to speak up, because they're like, oh God, if I say no or something, then I'm not going to make it. And it's like,
Yeah.
you'll make it. It'll just take longer.
Well, and at the end of the day, if you're doing stuff that, like you said, when you walk away from it, that's what you have, is what you what you had decided that you were gonna not do in the first place, or the rules that you had made up for yourself. And bodybuilding competition is so temporary for most people. You still have 50 years of life left after you're done competing. You want to be able to enjoy that and be productive in that part of your life as well. So hey, Kim, is there anything else that you wanted to promote, or any last message that you want to share for anybody who's listening?
Well, we have actually have 2 more shows coming up this year.
Okay.
So well, yesterday was 3 weeks. So on October 16th here in Springfield, Missouri, we're going to have our Pink Muscle Fest. And we started that, well, we started 8 years ago. We didn't get to have it last year because of COVID, but so tired of that word. But so anyway, so we didn't get to have it last year, but we had it. We initially came up with the idea and started it 8 years ago. Chad's mom had been battling cancer. And so we wanted to do something, because she was such an instrumental role, not just in Chad's life. I mean, she was everything to Chad, but I mean, she never called me her daughter-in-law. I was her daughter. and she never treated me like, just someone that was married to Chad. I was her daughter, and she was so special to me, and she still is. I write letters to her all. It's like, she's not here anymore, but I write letters to her because, I was able to, talk to her and stuff. And she was just the most wonderful woman. So at that point in time, when we first started the show, she had been battling cancer for 9 years.
Yep.
And she didn't make it to the show. She passed before we had the show, but she was just so excited that we were doing the show in honor of her. And so we just decided to keep doing it, to keep honoring her every year. And it kept growing and growing. It was a huge show until everything got messed up, but we're starting to build it back up again. So that's October 16th. And we do give proceeds from the show to various breast cancer, organizations throughout the Southwest Missouri area and throughout our district and stuff. And so it's become a really cool show. And then our very last show will be in Wichita, Kansas on November 13th. And it's called the All-Star Championships. And we have so many like military bases in the Kansas area that we always have military divisions in that show. And so it's a fun show. So it's both shows are national qualifiers. And pink isn't just for women, just because it's called Pink Muscle Fest. Real men wear pink. And so Chad's first posing trunks were pink, the pink wet look. And he had a long ponytail. It was so cool. But so real men do wear pink, so come out for Pink Muscle Fest. And then the All-Star, it's a national qualifier in all categories, all divisions, but we just add military to it because we have so many military personnel in that area and stuff. So it's a fun show. Both shows are fun shows. So, and then I want to thank you for being patient with me during my crazy year here, and for finally, having me on the show, and for doing what you do to, inspire women and let women know, because women, it's hard for women, it really is, especially in this industry too. And so, not to sound like the cheerleader, to be like, women need to get together and everything, because that's never going to happen. But if as many of us, can be inspiring and uplifting and everything to each other and one another as possible, then it'll help and stuff. And I just, like I said, I've never abandoned the sport, and I'm thrilled that there is, a stage and a category for everybody, for every type of, body, because like you said, not everyone wants to be big, not everyone wants to be little, there's something for everybody. And even with the men now, they're doing it with the men now too. So, and like you said, you could start out in one category and then progress as you like, which is great. And then that's, if I had it to start all over again, well, I didn't really have to gain that much. I went from being about, when I was in college, I had to stay at 125 for my, for dance squad and everything. But then my natural weight was usually about 135. And so really my first show that, national level show, the junior nationals, and then even the North American, I was 143 then. So it wasn't like a huge, and even to get up to like, I think 155 to 160 within 10 years, that's not that much weight really that I gained. It just, when you think about it.
Oh, just a slow progression. Like, most people, that's basically my 10 years gaining weight is exactly the same way. Yeah. So
when you look at, the off-season weight, I don't really count that, because, it's like, that's when I would hide and cover up and everything. But so I don't count that. I count the stage weight and stuff, because that's the true muscle that you've put on and everything in your work. So when you realize that I went from the junior national level at 143 to like between 155 to 160, and from 93 to 99, that's not really that much.
Yeah.
So
you did a good job. So Kim, thank you again so much for sharing all this. It's been really fun. I feel like I feel like we could talk forever. I'll be like the Linda Murray getting on the phone with you and talking.
You're very comfortable. You make me feel very comfortable, and it's just fun to talk to you and stuff. And it's nice to not, well, it's fun, you know, we talked about the bodybuilding and stuff, but it's fun to just talk about like life.
Yeah, to have you back on again and we can chat some more. But
I know this has been fun. You're awesome. So this
you're
has been
awesome.
Thank you.
Well, so I just want to say thanks to everybody for listening and watching. And you can find Kim on Instagram at Miss Olympia MC. You can find me on Instagram at BuffGig22, and you can follow the podcast at Women's Maximum Fitness. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, do all those things, and to remember that healthy looks different on everybody. Have a great day.